Omari. Do you want to?
I'll just pray.
Madam Mayor, it's 6 o'clock.
All right, we've got a full house. I love to see it. Everyone quiet in the chambers and find your seats, please. Commissioners, that means you too.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's coming. Okay.
City managers, find their seats. City attorneys, find their seats. All right, we're ready. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this Tuesday, April 16th, regular City Commission meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Mayor Pam Triolo,
Here.
Vice Mayor Andy Amoroso,
Here.
Commissioner Scott Maxwell is not here tonight. Commissioner Omari Hardy,
Here.
Commissioner Herman Robinson.
Here.
Thank you.
If everyone would please rise for the invocation offered on behalf of Commissioner Hardy, followed by the pledge.
Lord, we thank you, first of all, for bringing us here alive and with all of our limbs and health intact. We ask that you bring into this chamber a spirit of cooperation and a spirit of deliberation as we figure out what to do best for the community here in the city of Lake Worth. And we ask that we make good decisions and keep cool heads. In the name of Jesus, we pray, amen.
Amen. Vice Mayor, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, I would like it if you would allow me to take just a moment. Our Vice Mayor Pro Tem Scott Maxwell is not here because his sister passed away. And our hearts and prayers, of course, go out to him and his family right now. Also, I did receive a notification last time, but it came into me after I had been in the meeting. And there was also the passing last week of Coleman Beach, I guess from the South Palm Park Neighborhood Association. So I wondered again, if you wouldn't mind, please, if we could take a moment of silence for the loss of loved ones, of people dear and near to us. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Okay, moving on to our agenda, additions, deletions, or reordering. Madam Clerk?
Madam Mayor, item 9L from the consent agenda, there's an agreement with Stantec. We're not quite ready with it yet, so we've moved that to the May 7th meeting.
Okay, so then item 9A will be moved to a time certain. So delete,
9L.
I'm sorry, 9L,
Yes, in,
Stantec, gotcha.
right.
Will be moved to a time certain, so just remember that when you're considering the consent agenda. Also, if I may just make a quick request too, I know we have a lot of presentations on the agenda tonight, and I know that we have people here for many of these presentations, so I'd like to ask if I could, I know the presentation for ethics and the presentation for autism, there's no one here to receive those proclamations. I'm still going to do those proclamations, but I'd only ask if we can move them towards the end, so that the people here for the earlier presentations, we can move them just forward. Is that okay with everybody? I'm still gonna do them, but I just will move them towards the end. All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. First up will be our presentation, first quarter PBSO, presentation given by Captain Bear. Welcome back once again.
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be back after 3 months. I'm here tonight with Lieutenant Bosniak for our quarterly presentation. Major Keene sends his regrets. He planned on being here, but he has a bad cold he came down with yesterday, so he couldn't make it. But this one's the community policing presentation. Should be quick and all positive stuff. I'll get right to it. These are the things I'm going to talk about tonight. As most of you know, I've been gone since January. I was up at Quantico, Virginia for the FBI National Academy. I'll talk a little bit about that experience and what it does for Lake Worth. We've got our Legoland anti-gang, anti-bullying program again, Highland Elementary, pep rally, update on the 2 grants we obtained this past year, your requested tag reader and camera program update and what we're doing with that, and then our regular overdose update. The FBI National Academy. I was very proud and thankful that I was chosen just among my own peers within the Sheriff's Office, that Sheriff Bradshaw chose to send me. Just getting chosen within our agency is quite an accomplishment and a good fortune. I spent the last 3 months up there with 250 classmates from 47 states and 26 countries. So I literally made connections from Hong Kong to San Diego, from Maine to Iceland. All kinds of different, hopefully lifelong contacts and friendships. We cover all kinds of current trends from leadership to terrorism to combating the opioid epidemic to fitness, you name it, officer wellness. I took 5 master's level classes during that period, and we also do quite a bit of physical fitness. I came back about 12 pounds lighter. Did a lot of PT. I'll race anybody today. But a lot of that there was a lot of bonding. It's something to do a lot of these obstacle courses and things with 250 of your new friends and colleagues from all over the world. So I'm so thankful I got to go. I tried to choose some of my classes based on what I thought would help back in the city in my assignment, such as the narcotics one and things like that. So hopefully I've got some more tools in my toolbox to use back here. And it was nice to get away, but it was also a long time to be away from family and work. And so I'm reinvigorated and re-energized, ready to get back to work. And as you can see from that top right corner, there was a lot of snow. And being a native Floridian, I wasn't used to that. I've learned how to scrape my windshield and these other things that I never knew to do as a Floridian. I also learned that I like running in the cold better than the hot, but I did not like running the hills. The hills were way worse than the cold. So I got a lot out of the experience, and I'm very happy I got to go. This is our 5th year, I believe. We did the one-of-a-kind anti-gang, anti-bullying program that we partner with Legoland. We brought the children you see there up to Legoland for the day after they completed a 12-week course on bullying and gangs. I was gone for this. As you see, the sheriff came out. That was really nice. He came out to their graduation day up at North Grade, which was a very nice event. I also don't want to forget, I've got to say thank you to my lieutenant and Bosdeck and Sergeant West. They did a admirable job while I was gone. I've gotten a lot of compliments. I almost forgot. But you've all heard me talk about this program many times. The success rate's up in the high 90%. A lot of these kids go from struggling students to magnet programs. And the reason we choose 5th grade is we want to catch them before they go off to middle school. We've learned through my own children that it's good to get the kids on the path before they go off to middle school, which I'm sure you're familiar. So it's been very successful, and we're hoping to continue it. We're doing it right now still at North Grade and South Grade. And that's some of the kids up at Legoland. Legoland's been a great partner the whole time. They supply the cars and they supply the tickets when we take the graduates up there for the day. Highland, the principal, as you saw at the last meeting, she's doing a great job over there. We've made a great connection with her and been spending a lot more time at Highland as well. She invited us over there to their pep rally for their critical FSA test, so we wanted to go over there and support the kids. And I don't know when the scores come out, but hopefully they all did a good job. That was a very nice event. Here's the grants update. As I've told you all in the past, we applied for these 2 grants last year. The first one was a DOJ. I can never remember the CBCR, so I put it this time. A community-based crime reduction grant. It's a $1.3 million grant we were awarded and it's a 3-year grant. So we're well into year 1 in the planning phase. We actually have a big meeting tomorrow about it with stakeholders from all over the community. And it's going very well. It's going to take not quite a year to do the planning. We've got a Barry University professor pulling the data, and we've got assistants from all over the community helping with surveys, and we're going to have focus groups and whatnot. And I think it's going to have a really good effect on crime. The focus area of the grant actually touches all 4 of your voting districts, predominantly in 1 and 2. It goes from 10th Avenue North, south to the Lantana line, and from I-95 east to Federal Highway. So it catches a little bit of 3 and 4 as well. But it's primarily gonna be focused on the in that area from in 1 and 2. And it's not just enforcement. We're gonna hit it from all different angles. So I'm really hoping it's gonna have a good effect. And it's gonna last for 3 years. Starting by January of this year, we'll be into the enforcement and the operational phase. The other one, the FRA, Federal Railroad Association grant, we applied for that with everything going on with Brightline, and we had the one child struck over by the Tri-Rail. We applied for a $150,000 grant for education and enforcement, and they gave us the $75,000. They gave us half, and they want just the enforcement. Which is a little surprising, but we're gonna use it for extra enforcement, education. We're still gonna be able to give warnings and/or citations for people crossing the tracks where they shouldn't be and things like that. Try to reduce that number of strikes, especially now that we have 2 different trains going through. So that's ready to go as soon as the signs are up. There's a few trespassing signs missing in the key areas, or they're defaced. So once the FRA puts those up, we're going to be launching the enforcement phase. The tag reader, the ALPR, or tag readers and camera project update. All 30 of the cameras have been installed. They're working. We're making a bunch of arrests. The tag readers, we have 14 installed out of the 22. We've got it should be 8. We've got 8 other locations still pending, and we're having little logistical hangups with the polls, and/or DOT was going to let us use their polls. Now they're not going to let us, so we're going to have to use other city polls and whatnot. So that's the only reason those are not up. Those, once we get that hammered out, they'll go up because those are being installed by a company. We're not installing those. They're just waiting on all this legal tape. But we're having a lot of success with it. These are the stats from January to March. We had 150 different tag reader hits for wanted persons with warrants. We had 225 stolen vehicle hits. That means that they went through. We didn't get quite that many. We ended up getting like 80 stolen vehicles from it, because sometimes we still have to find them, or they may come through and we're all tied up, things like that. But that's still a lot of stolen vehicles coming through. A number that stood out to me that was a little shocking was 11 vehicles came through that hit as a homicide vehicle. So that's a little alarming. But that's throughout the 14 different tag readers. And then the camera assisted arrests, the cameras with the people monitoring them, that helped us make 104 extra arrests in that 3-month period. So that's really good. We're still the pilot program for our agency. You're starting to see Wellington's coming on, Lake Park, but we're still the pilot, and it's been very successful. So a lot of the contract cities are starting to want to do the same thing. So I'm real proud of those numbers. The overdose update, it was getting better for a while, and then kind of fell off in March and spiked. That's a bad omen, because we know from past history the summers when it normally spikes. So the fact that it spiked in March is a little alarming. I'm curious to see. Hopefully in April it's coming back down. It's gotten a lot better, but they're still out there. I wonder how much Narcan has affected our statistics as well. How much, I mean, we're definitely having a positive effect with the Sober Home Task Force and the Opioid Task Force and all the things we're doing, but I'm not sure how much the prevalence of Narcan is falsely, showing our successes, because a lot of times now that everybody has Narcan, we're not getting called anymore. Someone will just revive their friend, and then we don't know that overdose ever occurred. So hopefully we're winning, but that was a little alarming to see that spike. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Hardy?
Just one quick question. I understand that there was an increase from February to March, but what about from March of this year to March of last year?
It's a little higher.
So it's a little higher, okay. Both the overdoses and the overdose deaths, or for one category, was it higher? Or?
There's a lot more non-fatal, and again, that could
Okay.
be and it's a good thing that Narcan's more readily available, but that could be the Narcan factor to a degree, so it's hard to tell. I definitely feel we're having a positive effect,
Right.
and the numbers are going down. The number of unscrupulous sober homes has gone down. We're not feeling it when we're reading the reports every day. We're not seeing as many calls related to the issue, but I was hoping March was going to be a lot less than it was. So.
Vice Mayor?
Can you talk a little bit about, there was a really good bust recently of somebody selling fentanyl. Can you talk a little bit about that?
We've had several.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure which one. Our CP and street team has done a real good job. They've been working closely with the DEA. The DEA's been coming in and assisting us. We've made several large quantity cases for fentanyl and heroin. We had one that was selling out of a convenience store in the North End. He's looking at significant time.
12 years.
Yeah, 12
Federal.
years. The
Great
beauty
job.
of the DEA is, in addition to bringing in their jurisdiction, is then we take them to federal court. In federal court, you're going to look at historically a lot more time than state court. Bad guys don't like to see when we show up and there's guys with DEA jackets and whatnot on. So that's been a great partnership, and I think that's definitely having a good effect. We took a significant dealer off on South Federal as well last week, so we've had a couple really good cases just in the last 2 weeks.
Great, thank you.
I think also when you mentioned the LPRs, license plate readers, what's really interesting is that discussing this, when you talk about things we bring back from League of Cities, U.S. Conference of Mayors. That was one project that I had very long conversations with a mayor for a city in New York, on Long Island, not in the city. And city manager, I believe you were there at that meeting as well. And it was at the Conference of Mayors. And he was describing some of the issues that they had in the community and what they had, very similar challenges to what we've had, and their success level with it. And of course, I took that information and came back with it, and then ran it through, a bunch of different alleys, including the ACLU. And I want you to see, by the way in which Captain was describing it, the types of readers that we have are not ones used to store information. They're used to detect and alert. So when these vehicles are coming through, they're not data systems that they're taking and using to capture information about people. It's just if a license plate is used in conjunction with an auto vehicle theft, bing. If a license of a vehicle is used in a homicide, bing. So they're knowing that these vehicles come through and they're being alerted as to the point, and he's even mentioned that he has to catch up with them, to actually catch up to the vehicles if you have men available or women available at the time that they are.
Sure.
They've been extremely successful in multiple cities. You mentioned other cities that are joining on in this, but we have been a pass-through for a lot of crime over the course of many years, and those statistics show exactly that. And, we want the people to know that are committing crimes and doing bad things, that when they come through here, we're going to know it. And they're going to get caught, if not now, eventually. And I'm just really excited that we have this program in place. And I want to thank you guys for getting it moving, and to support my fellow commissioners for getting so many new ones in, for making, because it really is making a difference, and it's going to make an even bigger difference in the future. Thank you.
That's a great point. That's one of the reasons we elected to go with the biggest company, Vigilant Solutions. They're very well aware of the laws regarding the data information. We don't store it either. They maintain the data, and they follow the law to the letter. They're the industry standard for the tag readers right now, to my knowledge, and that's why I'm glad we went with them.
Yep, me too.
It's interesting, in the academy, you got to see this perspective from around the country and the world, and we're on the front end because a lot of them are just talking about the idea of putting in license plate readers and cameras, and we already have them up and working. And a lot of them were shocked when I said we already have them, because most of them were still in the idea stage. Another thing that I forgot to mention that was interesting is we're from all over the world, and they had all the similar problems. I would have never guessed that Alaska has a huge opioid problem. Some of the other countries have a huge opioid problem. We're all dealing with it. We found out whether you're a big agency, a small agency, you're on the West Coast, the East Coast, another country, we're all dealing with similar issues, whether it's crime or whether our own employees, things like that. It was very, very interesting that we're from all over the world and we all have similar issues. So that was eye-opening. But thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Kevin.
Thank you.
Up next, our monthly school board update presented by Mr. Williams, principal of Lake Worth Middle School.
All right, I was going to end my presentation with this book, Go Warriors, which is the way I always end things.
You could do it at the beginning and the
Williams.
end.
I'm sorry?
You could do it at the beginning and the end.
Oh, I'm going to do that. I'm definitely going to do that. My name is Mike Williams. I'm the proud principal of Lake Worth Community Middle School. I've been there a little bit more than 4 years now, after spending 22 of my 26 years in the system, primarily working in different high schools and other settings within the district. I even did 3 years as an assistant principal at Lake Worth High School. So being asked to come to Lake Worth Middle School was somewhat like coming home. I'm going to just give you a brief overview of Lake Worth Middle School and some things that have happened over the past 4 years, and some things that we are working on. When I was told about this presentation and it had to be 10 minutes, I had to take my PowerPoint that usually takes about 40 minutes to get through and cut it down. So I took a lot of stuff out of it. So let's get started. Okay.
Captain Bayer's electric switching here.
Gotcha. He did it. Okay. Our mission at Lake Worth Community Middle School has been that we model the warrior way every day in every way. It is something that I inherited when I got that by a principal, from a principal who worked at Lake Worth Middle School and did a lot of positive things there. I actually had the opportunity to work with him for 7 years before coming to Lake Worth Middle School. So in a way, I think I was groomed for the position. What exactly is the Warrior Way? It is designed to pervade the culture, pervade a culture of respect, success, and achievement. It is set up to support what we call school-wide positive behavior support. You'll hear me a lot of times tell the kids that's not modeling the Warrior Way, and when I end the announcements every morning, it's always a reminder that they should model the Warrior Way every day in every way. And hopefully this won't be a theme with me hitting the wrong button this evening. Just a few facts about Lake Worth Middle School. We're 1,200 students strong at the moment. When I got there a little more than 4 years ago, we only had 840 students, so we are growing every year. Breakdown, Hispanic, we're about 61%, Black 24%. Most of that Black is Haitian Creole. We have about 7% white students, 1% Asian, 1% Indian, and the other 1% identifies as other. We're at about 95% free and reduced lunch, and what that means is we're very much a Title I school, which means that we receive extra funding from the federal government to get some of our projects accomplished. We currently have 6 languages, including English, Spanish, Creole, French, Dutch, and we also have 5 of the Mayan dialects: Papti, Mam, Kanhaval, Quiche, and I think the other one eludes me, Kanhaval. That's all 5 of them that we have. Some of the academic academies that we have the Pre-Biomedical Academy, which is a choice program that is open to the entire district. We have a Pre-Engineering Academy that's both choice and in-house. When I got there 4 years ago, I was very anxious to bring the Abbott program to Lake Worth Middle School because 5 years prior to that, the district, a lot of schools had started the program in the district, including elementary schools that feed into Lake Worth Middle School, and then Lake Worth High School started. And we were kind of that missing link. And we started that about 3 years ago, and Lake Worth High School started to get, because we started it in the 7th grade, so they started to get some of our Abbott students actually this current school year. So
What is Abbott?
Abbott means what's it said? Individual achievement, advanced. Hold on a second, it's an acronym.
I'm sorry, I asked.
No, you got me, because we call it Abbott so much. Advancement via indeterminate determination. That's what it,
I'm in the
that's
media,
what it
that
calls.
means the digital editing system. Like, if they're learning digital editing systems
Yeah.
in middle school, really?
Advancement via individual determination, and it is a global program that goes from kindergarten basically to post-secondary.
Okay.
So they have programs in the colleges as well, and it centers around different aspects of learning, basically study skills, collaboration, writing. The study skills part is my favorite, as well as the tutoring, because they have a different system of tutoring. We can hire outside tutors to come in, and what happens during the tutoring process is the tutor is never going to give the student the answer. They're going to give them leading questions that guide them to the answer. So that fosters critical thinking. And the kids sit in a group around the board, and they have to ask each other questions and whatnot, and it's really neat to observe. We have a gifted academy, which is in-house. We have an IT academy. Little tidbit, well, I'll save it to a few slides down the road. We have a dual language academy that for years has been in-house, and we've been trying to expand that so that the elementary schools that feed into us, that those students that live in our SAC area will have a place to go instead of trying to go to some other middle school that's outside of Lake Worth. We have all the major middle school sports. We have all the middle school clubs and organizations, including the one that we started just last year, which is the All In. We call it All In. And it is a Gay and Straight Alliance organization. And we just, for the first time, participated in the Lake Worth Middle School, not Lake Worth Middle School, but the Lake Worth Pride Day Parade. It was really neat. Came out and had a lot of fun. The kids were very, very happy to see me there because it's interesting because I've been to trainings and whatnot with other middle school principals, and when there's a session that talks about that organization, they're like, let's go to that session. And I'm like, well, I already have that organization on my campus. And they're like, you do? I said, absolutely. They said, what's it like? I said, it's great, because it's very important to me that in any school, no matter what your sexuality is, race, what have you, that you feel safe, that you still feel welcome, and you can feel a part. Okay. Here are some of our affiliations and community partnerships. We do have an affiliation with Florida Atlantic University College of Medicine. A little bit about that. Lake Worth Middle School has had a pre-biomedical program for about 10 years now. 2 years ago, more students applied to get into that program than any other program at the middle school level. Part of it is because of this relationship that we have with Florida Atlantic University. We're one of 4 schools in the school district that have that partnership. Up until last year, they funded it. I had to find a way to pay for it this year. But what happens with that relationship is Lake Worth Middle School students get to go down to the Florida Atlantic University College of Medicine Anatomy Lab. At the 6th grade level, those students do dissections that most students get to do when they get in the 10th grade. The 7th graders do dissections, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but the 7th grade students, they get to do dissections with larger mammals. And then the neat part, when they get in the 8th grade and go down, they actually work with cadavers. I went the first year I got there. I have not been since, but it was quite an experience, and the kids really do get into it. We have a partnership with Kaiser University School of Nursing. They come out and they do their trainings there. They work with our students. University of Miami Miller School of Medicine, same difference. They do take field trips up to St. Mary's Medical Center, where they get to actually see the actual medical environment and talk with the professionals that work there. And the relationship we have with Florida Empower and Light with our engineering academy is it's kind of a loose partnership, partly because, and they've been telling us lately that they can't really maintain that partnership because Florida Power and Lights does not service Lake Worth, for whatever that means. Have something
Hint,
I want
hint,
to say about that
hint,
later on.
hint. Where's that Liberty?
Okay.
You and I
Here's
need
some-
to talk.
Time to
Here's some
step
of
in.
our accolades and our accomplishments over the past 4 years. 2017, we're the first place middle school bridge building competition. We placed first place. 2018, first place in the robotics performance competition. My engineering academy has also participated in the Legoland engineering competition. They placed there as well. Something really neat about our chorus and band, both returned to the Music Performance Assessment Festivals, or the MPAs, for the first time since 2001. I made it a priority to try to bring those programs back, and I told the chorus director when I hired him, I want people to call us to come and perform for them, and then I also want to compete. We perform at the Kravitz Center during the holiday season. I had to take that picture out. When we switch over to the academic side, we doubled the number of students taking high school math in 7th and 8th grade. Really pushed that as a former math teacher. And when we go out and we recruit, and when we have our Academy's open house, always make sure that the parents understand that this is going to open up opportunities down the road. We have a 90+% passing rate on the Algebra 1 Honors EOC. That's the end of course exam for the state. We have a 90+% passing rate on the Geometry Honors EOC, 90+% passing rate on the IT industry certification exams, 95+% passing rate on the Biomedical Academy industry certification exam. We created a developmental language lab probably about 3 years ago. And in that lab, I have software and everything where the kids come in, the ones that don't speak a lot of English, where they can come in and work on those programs and whatnot, because it's very important for them to try to acquire that language, that English language, as quickly as possible. And a couple years ago, I got a $60,000 grant to create what we call a Z-Space Module Lab, which is a 3D lab. I got 17. At that time, I had more of those units than any other school in the district. And it's a way that you can study planets and all that kind of stuff in 3D with the glasses on. So I have a whole lab full of those. I wanted to talk a little bit about this and what that entails, but I'm going to move through it very quickly. These are some pictures of the kids If you can see, she in the center there, she's holding the human brain that's down at FAU. If the students that are in this program, when they finish with us, they can earn up to 8 high school credits. Here's the pre-engineering program. It's choice and it's in-house. I talked a little bit about the competitions that they participate in. We do things like flight, we do things with electricity, we build robots, we build bridges, we do all those different things. Everything I've talked about I consider to be a jewel in the crown of Lake Worth Middle School, but the real crown is the diversity that we have. And the staff came to me last year and said, we want to do something to make sure that people understand that we embrace and celebrate the diversity that we have here. So they took this picture and demanded that it be posted on our school site, which it is.
Awesome.
That is us in a nutshell. I could go I have to end it with Go Warriors and questions.
Commissioner Hardy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The first thing just for the future of the minutes, I just want to make sure, Debbie, you have all those Mayan dialects
I got him.
down. Okay.
Don't you worry. I got him. I even speak them.
Debbie was typing and the Mayan dialects came up, and it was very interesting. In other schools, for example, at Highland Elementary in Lake Worth and at South Grade Elementary, we noticed that there were a very, very high percentage of McKinney-Vento kids who were there. And basically, McKinney-Vento kids are kids who are either homeless or unstably housed. And obviously this affects their ability to achieve in school and compete with their peers, because as we all know, as you matriculate your way through the school system, it's also, about getting grades and bringing home for your own pride, but it's also, Johnny wants to go to the University of Florida and you want to go to the University of Florida too. And, the University of Florida has a limited number of spots, and not all of our parents can be Lori Laughlin. But
Point of order.
but it's something that certainly affects the kids here. So at Highland, they had 13% of their kids. 13% of the kids at Highland were homeless or unstably housed, and at South Grade, it was 29% of the kids were homeless or unstably housed. And so I'm wondering, is that an issue at Lake Worth Middle too? I noticed that Lake Worth Middle.
We're last checked because I do have a team that works with those students, and I do have a McKinney-Vento contact. We're at about 14% of our students. I'm sure we could probably be higher. Because some people are reluctant to report, and some people don't understand what part of the criteria to be considered homeless. Because if you're doubled up in a home, like if you have a
couch surfing,
I live with my aunt and her husband and kids, my mom and my 2 sisters, then actually you are considered homeless.
Right.
So I'm sure we could be much higher than that, though.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. As we continue to make decisions about housing here in the city of Lake Worth, I think that's important to keep in mind.
Vice Mayor?
And I too wanted to say thank you, as the native Floridian that attended, Lakewood Junior High prior to us tearing that down and you moving to your new location. I just want to thank you for all the hard work. And
thank you.
As Lake Worth's first openly gay city commissioner, I'd love to come and talk to your GSA, and thank you.
Please do. Please do. I would welcome you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Robinson?
And I appreciate you being here and doing what you do for the kids. Attendance, do you have any stats on attendance?
I don't have any current stats on it. I will say, though, that attendance is a problem, more so in the 8th grade. Again, I don't want to offend anybody, but I in some ways I do think it's somewhat cultural with our South American population in particular, and I think there's sometimes a lack of understanding of the importance of
So your involvement in the parents, with the parents?
Yeah, and we would be in desperate need of assistance in communicating with those parents. I do have some ideas that I'm going to try next year with Title I funds of maybe trying to hire a community liaison that could get out and walk the streets and knock on doors and try to reach some of these parents.
We'd love to help.
We'll talk.
Budget time is coming.
Thank you.
We'd definitely like to help with that too. I have a couple of ideas I'd like to talk with you about on that too. You're, to me, an underdog in our community in many ways.
Right.
We've had conversations before. I'm sorry, when you first came in, I didn't recognize you. I think that for me, the young ones before they go to elementary school, we've got so many challenges here with it, but our middle school kids we're losing them in two places, by third grade and in middle school. And and some of the conversations you and I have had in a couple of years ago, in fact, as a matter,
Right.
was about what programs are we creating in after school programs. Now you showed a very vibrant array of programs that you have, from sports to whatever. Where are we missing out? What are some of the
Well,
things?
we have an after-school program that's through a grant. It's called ICANN. And I think they had it before I got there. And when I first arrived, I was going to get rid of it because it wasn't academic enough. For me, it doesn't really have an academic component. It's about being active, and I get that. But in my mind, it's like they need more academic. So I backed off of it. We have a huge participation. It's a couple hundred kids. And we do give about a half hour to studies and homework and that kind of things. But the program itself is probably, not probably, it is set up, more about being active. But as far as missing out, I would like more community involvement, more partnerships, people that could come out and speak with my kids from time to time that, serve in different roles in the city of Lake Worth. That would help out tremendously.
We're actually looking at a liaison to that.
Really?
That's one of the
Okay.
things that we discussed in our budget process, was creating actually an education liaison for the city, so that we could be a consistent form of, we'd be able to consistently assist and volunteer and help and be a part of your programs and help institute new programs and help you fight for grants for other programs. So there's a lot coming our way. So we'll be meeting at our next education meeting. I'll give you an update on that.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Commissioner Robinson?
Well, I'd like the principals to participate in a job description of this person that we're talking about.
Yep.
That you'll help us form
That's
how
what,
we can help you.
that'll be on the agenda of the next meeting.
Gotcha.
We're gonna come to you and ask what you need.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it,
you.
Principal.
Good night.
Up next, a report on Tallahassee presented by former Commissioner Retha Lowe. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Jazzy seniors. Get jazzy.
It's so cute.
It's just what it says, senior, so give us a.
Yeah, we know she can.
You can just pull the whole thing down.
Okay. Is that good? Okay. We'd just like to say good evening to our commissioners in there.
Would you mind using the microphone just for the people at home? I'm sorry. We can hear you though.
We'd just like to say good evening to our mayor and commissioners and everybody in the building. And I know I said it says Retha Lowe, but this is not Retha Lowe. I'm Retha Lowe. This is Glory.
I was hoodwinked into this. But yes, good evening. My name is Gloria McCray, and I, along with these beautiful people in these gold T-shirts, we are the members of the Lake Worth Jazzy Senior Program. Many of our members are missing this evening, but we wanted to come before you and give you a report on our trip to Tallahassee. On March 25th of this year, we did travel along with the Delray Beach Group, senior group, to Tallahassee, Florida for the annual Florida Senior Day events. According to my sources, this is the first time Palm Beach County has been represented, and your proud city of Lake Worth was one of them, along with Delray.
Yeah.
I also understand, and I did fact check this for myself, that there are 39 cities in Palm Beach County, so only 2 were represented. and Lake Worth.
Yes.
Again, was one of them.
Hello.
Okay. It was a well-rounded trip, 3-day trip. Consisted of day one, arrival, getting together, fellowshipping with dinner. And then on the second day, we had a historical tour of the city. Too many places to really mention now, but and I felt like I was in college because I was taking notes on everything. But if you are interested in knowing some of the places we toured, I can make sure you get a clean copy of this. Later on that evening, we attended a wonderful senior day reception welcoming dinner. And we got a chance to really jazz up a little bit and put on some fancy frocks. So that was really cool. The third day was really, really, really great. We did the town hall meeting. It was a huge gathering of seniors from all over the state of Florida. Different members of our program, we did things in groups. So some of the group got a chance to see an overview of Tallahassee from the 22nd floor of the Capitol building. Another group, we got a chance to observe a press conference, and they were doing a legislature press on immigration laws. And another group, we got a chance to take a picture with Minority Leader Senator Audrey Gibson. Overall, though, collectively, we enjoyed entertainment from seniors all over Florida in the courtyard. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do locally with our program. But I tell you, to see those seniors doing all the line dances and the flips and the this and that, it was just really joyful, because sometimes people underestimate what seniors can do. But at that event, they showed them plenty. I am a little nervous because Ms. Reed hoodwinked me into doing this. So, but I do want to say this. A joyful heart is good medicine, and there's nothing in the world as irresistibly contagious as laughter and good humor. And we have plenty of that on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Lake Worth Center from 10 to 1. Now, I know Commissioner Robinson has stopped by to see us. We thank you for that. Commissioner Maxwell, and extend our condolences to him, please. And also the city manager here. All right, and we thank you for that. But we like to encourage others of you to come out and join us. We do crafts, we play games, we listen to good music, we dance, we have good lunches, we have general conversation, and we talk about life issues, we talk about parenting, grandparenting. We go to the movies. Sometimes we even go out dancing. So it's a well worth time, and we get plenty laughter. So I encourage you to come out and partake in some of the educational information that we get, some of the demonstrations of cooking, but most of all, get a dose of medicine for your heart, and that's plenty of laughter. We solicit your continuous support, whether it's through participation, funding, or prayers. And know that we are going to continue to live up to our motto, which says, determined to live life with faith, fun, and flair. And we thank you for this opportunity. Now, before we sit down, we do have a presentation for you.
We're going to ask Mike, our city manager.
If our city manager would please join us.
Come down and accept it on.
Is this something to eat?
On, no.
He's not gonna dance, is he?
No. On behalf of Commissioner Maxwell, because he and Commissioner Robinson have really been faithful in coming down and participating and getting to know what we're doing and what is going on.
You need to knit him one of those hats.
Okay, so we wanted to present this to Commissioner Maxwell, and we asked the city manager to accept it on his behalf.
All right, that just captures some of the data.
I'm sorry, I'm poked up. You see where my fat head? No, you don't mind. Don't mind.
Okay, and we thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Hold on, we have a question here. Vice Mayor?
I just had one quick comment. Hopefully this was the first year, but it's not the last year.
Right.
And
Right.
I was very happy. I was in Tallahassee that week, and I was very happy to come down in the plaza and see my Lake Worth folks there representing. So thank you very much.
And I just had a birthday, so I'll be joining you soon.
And
Thank you.
anytime any of you would like to come down and just walk around and see what is going on, because we want Lake Worth to know this is a City of Lake Worth Beach program. And everybody is welcome to come, join in, just come and get involved with us. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 to 1.
All right, I'm busy on Tuesdays. See on a Thursday.
I'd just like to say it's a really a joyful gathering down there, and credit to the Leisure Services Department
Yes,
for
yes.
kicking in.
Thank you, Commissioner Robinson. Appreciate that. All right. Up next, I have a proclamation. Someone very special.
I got
it. All right. What does it say here?
How many of these?
Ted Johnson and Ted Brownstein.
Is it a surprise?
For some reason, it just says.
Ted Johnson and Ted, no, it's a presentation to Ted Brownstein, but Ted Johnson is going to be here with him. He was the one that asked for this presentation.
So
So sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you.
All right, I'm gonna take these down with me. I'm gonna leave ethics.
Social media proclamations.
Vice Mayor, why don't you read these two?
No, I'm not. I don't have my glasses.
I already have 4.
Need your glasses, Ashley?
Read them down there. Okay.
Get them done.
We're approving.
All right. Ted Brownstein, where are you?
Come on
He
up.
didn't hear you. There he is.
Ted Brownstein, get on over here.
Whose idea was this?
Everybody.
Everyone's.
Lake Worth Beach.
Ted Johnson, you want to get up here too?
Where's Ted? Commodore.
No, this is the gentleman who
Threw you under the bus.
threw you under the bus. So I thought if he's going to do that, he should be present with you.
Thanks a lot. This was a secret.
Okay, here we go. You ready? Whereas the city of Lake Worth Beach is always grateful for the contributions from our residents, which make the city of Lake Worth Beach unique in its own way. And whereas City of Lake Worth Beach's very own Ted Brownstein has been a resident of our beautiful Lake Worth since 1987. And whereas Ted Brownstein is a highly regarded researcher and popular writer with a broad background in diverse fields. He holds a master's degree from the University of Wisconsin in biblical studies and had a successful career as an economic analyst. Ted has dug deeply into subjects as varied as interfaith religious studies, the life insurance industry, the stock market, ancient Near Eastern history, Mayan archaeology, and Florida history. Whereas Ted Brownstein is active in his community, serving on the Lake Worth Martin Luther King Committee and the Lake Worth Centennial Committee, is co-founder of the Lake Worth Interfaith Network, organizer of the Earth Day Peace Jam, past president of the Kiwanis Club, and and it keeps going on. Whereas the city of Lake Worth Beach is thankful for his active role he plays in keeping alive the history of our beautiful city, especially in his book entitled Pioneers of Jewel, a documentary history of Lake Worth's forgotten first settlement, 1885 to 1910, where he tells about the first settlers through their struggles, successes, fights, and fast friendships. And whereas the city of Lake Worth Beach is a better place by having people like Ted Brownstein who care enough about keeping our past alive while working towards a better future. Now, therefore, I, Pam Triolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby recognize Ted Brownstein as a friend of the City of Lake Worth Beach.
Ted sandwich.
Speech.
Well, just quickly, this is working?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I have to thank my wife, Chris, first. She knows how often I'm totally engrossed in something on a computer or otherwise, and how she has to jump up and down to get my attention or wave chocolate in front of my nose or something. So thanks to Chris for that. And when I look around at the dais, every single one of us have done projects and interesting things together. And it's always been a joy to work with the people in the city. You know, all of us are from different places and don't have roots in the area, so that's why I think our getting to know our history and feeling like we're members of a community is really important, and building bridges between our diverse communities. As we know, sometimes we live in little bubbles and pockets, and culturally we don't mix as well. So that's our work. You know, I'm an old hippie, and I still believe in teaching the world to sing in harmony. So that's what we're all about. So thank you for this, and look forward to our future collaborations with each of you. Thanks a lot.
Okay, you're going to be sick of hearing my voice tonight. Up next, we're going to skip over to our proclamation declaring April 2019 as Water Conservation Month. Brian Shields, are you here?
I was told.
Moving right along.
Move it to the bottom.
Move it to the bottom. All right. Then we'll move on to National Library Week. Vicki Joslin, Cindy. All right. Come on down. All right. Proclamation for National Library Week. Whereas libraries are not just about what they have for people, but what they do for and with people. Whereas libraries have long served as trusted and treasured institutions, and library workers and librarians fuel efforts to better their communities, campuses, and schools. Whereas librarians are leaders in their institutions and organizations, in their communities, in the nation, and in the world. Whereas librarians continue to lead the way in leveling the playing field for all those who seek information and access to technologies. And whereas libraries and librarians look beyond the traditional roles and provide transformative opportunities for education, employment, entrepreneurship, empowerment, and engagement, as well as new services that connect closely with patrons' needs. And whereas libraries and librarians lead their communities in innovation, providing programming, create spaces and access and training for new technologies. And whereas libraries are pioneers, supporting democracy and affecting social change with a commitment to providing equitable access to information for all library users, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status. And whereas libraries lead in working with diverse communities, including people of color, immigrants, and people with disabilities, offering services and educational resources that transform communities, open minds, and promote inclusion and diversity. Whereas libraries, librarians, library workers, and supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week. Now, therefore, I, Pam Triolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim April 7th through the 13th, 2019 as National Library Week.
Down a little lower.
When you get a chance, stop by the library. We have also Fine Forgiveness Week going on this week as well. So if you have those dusty books in your cars, in your bedrooms, bring them back and we will forgive all your fines this week. Thank you.
go back to Water Professionals Month. Brian Shields, everybody.
Hey, Brian.
Hey. Whereas, there's a lot of whereases tonight. Whereas water is a basic and essential need of every living creature. And whereas water industry professionals in Florida dedicate themselves to the production and distribution of safe drinking water, as well as the proper collection, treatment, reuse, and disposal of wastewater and stormwater. And whereas thanks to technological advances by water professionals and the dedication of thousands of water industry professionals in the state, Florida drinking water and treated wastewater meet stringent water quality standards. The city of Lake Worth Beach is, of course, too, the best. Whereas, regardless of where it originates, our water is treated, tested, distributed, collected, and retreated in a process carefully managed by water professionals. And whereas water professionals at local public water and wastewater agencies work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, maintaining and upgrading their systems, planning for the future, and improving the safety and resiliency of local water supplies. Whereas the success that we've experienced thus far and the success that we'll have in the future is made possible by tremendous commitment and efforts of Florida's water professionals. And whereas the Florida section of the American Water Works Association has designated April, typically a dry month, when water demands are most acute, as Florida Water Conservation Month to educate citizens about how they can help save Florida's precious water resources. And whereas the state of Florida water management districts and the city of Lake Worth Beach are working together to increase awareness about the importance of water conservation. And whereas Lake Worth has always encouraged and supported water conservation through various educational programs and, of course, special events. Now, therefore, I, Pam Triolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim April 2019 as Florida Water Professionals Month.
Thank you.
You should say whereas.
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 Okay.
Pictures are worth.
Let's see. Proclamation for Earth Day. Brian Kirsch, where are you? Guess what this starts with? There you go. I think we should have like a join in. Everyone joins in. When I start, I hold my hand up.
Whereas.
A new worldview is emerging as through telecommunications, trade, and travel, our planet is rapidly becoming a single community. And
Whereas.
the creation of a healthy environment requires the establishment of a stable human society where the economic and material desires of humankind are balanced with ecological concerns. And
Whereas.
Earth Day each year can provide a special time to draw people together in appreciation of their mutual home, planet Earth, and bring a global feeling of community through realization of our deepening desire for life, freedom, and love, and our mutual dependence on each other. And our beautiful blue planet is a home for all people. And the city of Lake Worth Beach takes pride in its diverse population. And through voluntary action, individuals can join with one another in building the earth in harmony with nature and promote support thereof by private and government agencies. And the city of Lake Worth Beach, as a waterfront community, has a special interest in cleanup efforts for Lake Osborne, the Lake Worth Lagoon, and C-51 Canal. And the city of Lake Worth Beach has made neighborhood beautification a priority, including the planting of trees and enhancements of green space. And the city of Lake Worth Beach takes pride in its natural resources and conservation efforts. And Earth Day each year can foster a common recognition that we are one people, one planet. Now therefore I, Pam Triolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2019 as Earth Day.
Come up here and Chris Love, because this is part of the Kiwanis that does this, and Chris can come up here. She takes care of the kids.
She climbs into the mangroves.
There you go. All right. Whereas you can
Whereas there's a serious photo.
Yeah, there you go.
Brian.
See, I know that place. And can I say something?
Please, just a mic.
Whereas I'd like to share with you all, rather than the regular Earth Day event that we normally do every year, we're having a work day. It's the shoreline cleanup on April 27th over at the golf course. It's a partnership with Keep America Beautiful and the Lake Worth Kiwanis. That's going to be at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's not this coming Saturday, it's the following Saturday. So everybody jump on in and grab your friends, grab your kids. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, thank you very much.
Do we want to read these other? Are you sick of hearing from me? I know. All right, here we go. These are important though. Both of them are important. Okay, we're going to go back to ethics awareness, and I'm just going to read these. I'm going to go back up to my chair. This is Ethics Awareness Month. So the proclamation, I'll just do these fast. You don't have to join in on this one. I knew Brian was a good sport and he would appreciate that. In fact, that was probably the best one we ever did, right? Whereas ethics is a set of values that consistently guides our behavior, and as applied to government, it is essential to the proper conduct and operation of the government. And whereas ethic values guide public officials to be independent and impartial so that their actions can easily be seen to encompass ethical behaviors consistent with established standards of conduct as they provide important governmental services. And whereas Palm Beach County was identified as a leader in ethics reform and received a national award for its focus on the importance of ethics, and has implemented the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics through the continued partnership and support of all 38 municipalities which have adopted it countywide through referendum. And whereas on December 7th, 2010, the City of Lake Worth Beach adopted the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics and Commission on Ethics ordinance by reference. And whereas the City of Lake Worth Beach challenges and invites all members and community leaders to join in learning more about the ethics movement in Palm Beach County and to strive for ethical actions in all aspects of their daily life. Now therefore, I, Pam Triolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by the virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim April 2019 as Ethics Awareness Month. And a proclamation for Autism Awareness Month. I know this is very near and dear to a lot of people here in our community. Whereas autism is a complex neurobiological disorder that typically lasts throughout a person's lifetime, and it is part of a group of disorders known as autism spectrum disorders, ASD. And whereas autism affects all persons regardless of race, religion, socioeconomic status, or geography. And whereas ASD are the fastest growing serious developmental disabilities, making these disorders more common than pediatric cancer, diabetes, and AIDS combined. And whereas individuals with ASD and their families face tremendous and overwhelming challenges in accessing and navigating the complex programs and services available for these disorders. And whereas individuals with ASD are valuable and talented citizens, Now therefore, I, Pam Triello, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by the virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim April 2019 as Autism Awareness Month. Thank you. And they will be sent, because nobody was here to receive them, they'll be sent to those who requested and presented as read here. Thank you for your time and patience for all of our presentations today. I believe we've gotten through. Did I miss anything? Nope.
Yeah.
Commission liaison reports and comments. You guys want to start, Commissioner Robinson?
In the interest of time, I want to welcome Decision 1 and Main Tech to 1000 Lake Avenue and 1016 Lucerne, 1013 Lucerne. There are more than 40 new employees to downtown Lake Worth Beach. And I wish first appearance good luck tomorrow at their court appearance. And that's it.
Vice Mayor?
Also, I wanted to reach out and welcome Main Tech and Decision 1 and thank the CRA for helping bring them to the city of Lake Worth, and there are over 40 employees so far, and they have a lot more that they're going to do. It's just west of us here in a building that's sat predominantly empty for years, so we embrace them and welcome them to the neighborhood. I got to speak today to the young politicians at Park Vista today, which was a great experience. And I started by asking whether they were Ds or Rs or libertarians, only because I shared with them, once you get to Tallahassee, you become who you are. But when you represent a municipality, you represent all people in the city, and you have to leave your Ds and Rs at home. And they were very excited, and they're looking forward to maybe some of the mayor and the other commissioners to come to speak to them. But that's why I wanted to reach out to Lake Worth High School GSA. It's very important to these young adults that, you know, we get involved with them and we talk to them, and they had a lot of great questions, so it was just a great thing. Most of my board meetings have all been moved to the end of the month, so you'll hear about that at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner?
I was at Eden Place last night and got to hear some top secret raft race stuff. I wanted to go take that information and give it to WikiLeaks, but Julian Assange had been arrested already. So I guess I'll have to keep that to myself.
You're on a roll tonight, man.
I've seen on TV.
I want to congratulate a contributor here in this city. He's my appointee to the CRA. He was there before I got on the commission. As soon as I met him, I said, you know, you've got to stay. His name is Chris Pettit. If you've ever gotten to know Chris Pettit, first of all, you'll know that the guy has more degrees than the month of July. He's a sharp guy. And he's been working for the county for a long time, and he's been living here in the city, and he's been serving on the CRA, serving on this and that, and he got a really awesome job right underneath the Agriculture Commissioner of the state of Florida. And so he will be going to work for Nikki Fried up in Tallahassee, and I'm happy for him. It's a loss for us, but it's a gain for him. And you know what? It's not bad to have someone from the city to be working in Tallahassee. That might help us out in the future. So congrats to Chris Pettit. I got the opportunity to speak at an event which was held by Holy Ground PBC. Holy Ground is a faith-based organization that provides homeless services, including shelter services. And they, for the month of April, which is Fair Housing Month, they put on an event to bring awareness to fair and affordable housing. And so they brought in a guy named Avery Friedman, who's a renowned civil rights attorney, to speak, and they brought in Keith James, and I was for some reason brought in with those people, along with James Green and Emily Gorman, who works right here in Lake Worth at Adopt a Family, and they spoke about their 14 units that were approved by the city for housing for Highland, and it was a really cool event here in our backyard. I will go to Tallahassee, which is pretty terrible, but I'm telling everybody I know that if you have an opportunity to write a legislator, you want to do so, first of all, on the behalf of the city. There are still some things that we would like to get. We will see if that happens, but there are three other things that should be of interest. The first is CRAs, and this is the first time that the legislature has attacked CRAs. They're basically trying to sunset all CRAs, and in addition to that, what they're trying to do is make it practically impossible for a city to create a CRA. So we were fortunate to get one. Our neighbor to the west, Palm Springs, is trying to get one. Now, how it works currently is you go to the county commission, you ask their permission, they grant it, you get a CRA. How the legislature wants to do it is you have to put it to a referendum. Not only that, the referendum has to pass by a supermajority. Not only that, the referendum has to be county-wide. So you have to get a supermajority of voters in Boca to approve your CRA in the village of Palm Springs. If that doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't make sense to me. It makes sense to people whose purpose is to destroy CRAs, which, while not perfect, they're like most institutions led by men and women. They have done a lot of good throughout communities, and they've done a lot of good here, frankly. I mean, what happened just now, and I shouldn't say we because it was Joan and it was the city. Okay, so I'll say we as a team. We're all a team here. We just brought in 47 jobs right there. Bavanshaw of Oak Lane Partners, in conjunction with Joan Oliva, in conjunction with Dolores Keys, in conjunction with this gentleman here, in conjunction with the Madam Mayor and all of us who've worked hard. This company worked with the CRA to bring in 47 jobs right behind City Hall on the corner of Lucerne and what is that, G Street. And that wouldn't have happened without the CRA. And that's exactly what Tallahassee doesn't want us to have the ability to do. So for every headline that you read about the CRA, because people with typewriters like controversy, there are so many good things that are happening around the state of Florida with CRAs, and I don't want to see someone in Tallahassee taking away local rights here. The other thing is pretty much no one in South Florida is getting any appropriations, which is interesting because if you know anything about this state, you know that this state and the I-4 corridor between Tampa and Orlando pays for the rest of the state, and yet we're not getting any money. And in addition to that, as much talk as there's been about saving the Sadowski Affordable Housing Trust Fund, it's being swept yet again. And swept is a politically correct word for stolen from. And basically, you know, there's anytime property changes hands, the buyer, okay, if you've bought a property since 1994, you've paid this dock stamp tax, okay? And basically that money is supposed to go into a trust fund, and that trust fund is supposed to be used only for affordable housing. And every year since 2003, the legislature has taken money out of that fund that you've paid for and used it for other stuff, okay? And they're doing it again this year. Not only that, the portion that they are funding is about to go not to the areas that really, really need affordable housing, and I understand there is a crisis in the Panhandle with Hurricane Michael, but they're about to send the affordable housing money, over $50 million of it, to go to Hurricane Michael recovery, which is great, but it shouldn't come from people who need housing. It's quality that they can afford, and that's what's happening right now in that wonderful place we call Tallahassee. So if you have the opportunity to write a legislator not from Palm Beach County, because all of our guys have done an excellent job. They've done an excellent job carrying our values to Tallahassee, regardless of what party they've been from. They've been fantastic. Write a legislator not from here and ask them about those things. Our appropriations, South Florida appropriations in general, CRAs, and Sadowski. The last thing I'll say is, from time to time I'll share some news about planning and about some things that other cities are going to be doing. And there's a city in Washington, the state of Washington, called Tacoma. And they have lots of things that we have here, these accessory dwelling units, these backyard cottages that we have. And they just enacted, which is probably the most progressive accessory dwelling unit reform. Basically, they've legalized accessory dwelling units almost everywhere. And they put a lot of power in the hands of property owners and homeowners and made them available to people so that they can, rent them out. We don't have a hotel in this city. I know we have that's technically a black market, Airbnb market here, but that's what's keeping our tourism here afloat. And I frankly would like to see us in the future legalize accessory dwelling units everywhere. I think it's ridiculous. These things are structures that exist already in people's backyards, but you can't put a kitchen in them. You can't rent them out. You can't monetize them. You can't use them to support your mortgage.
Can we bring that back as an agenda item so we can discuss it?
That's actually, city manager, I've asked them to bring it back, to bring it to a workshop in June. So I would like us to discuss
Yeah,
that.
just
So,
reporting on, not introducing new, so.
all right.
Okay.
And that's it. That's all I got.
I'm sorry, you tapped me?
I just wanted, I had one more thing on my list, and I didn't see Dave McGrew in the room, so I was gonna hold off. Dave McGrew is here now. So, our tree board was set up way back when to actually create canopy for the city of Lake Worth. And after the hurricanes, we lost a lot of canopy. So I ran into Dave and former Commissioner Chris McVoy, that's now on the tree board, and I challenged them. And I said, I would like to see the tree board put in 200 trees by 2020. And I said, I will challenge you, and I hope other people will step up too. And Java Juice Bar and Studio 205 would like to start that fund with $200. And again, 200 trees by 2020. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner. That's a tall order, but we'll see what we can do.
All right, next time.
33 trees per month.
Okay, we have a
Next
goal.
6 months.
33 trees.
All right, next time, put it in a presentation.
What would the budget, what would the budget be for that?
All right, see, that's why you're supposed to put it in a presentation.
It'll come back.
All right, there you go. Thank you. All right. Oh, I have one. I get to do one too.
Put it in a presentation.
I'll put it in a presentation, Mayor. I want to thank everyone for coming out to the volunteer breakfast. That was really, really nice. But as I mentioned at the volunteer breakfast, we had a little slimmer showing than normal this year. We shouldn't do it as a breakfast. Can we do it as a lunch?
Lunch, dinner.
Dinner, cocktails? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Happy hour.
Happy or no, I don't think we can do that when I was a city. But maybe a lunch or or early dinner or something like that would be really fun. So I say I put my 2 cents in to staff and said no more breakfast. And I selfishly say that because I'm not very much of a morning person for those who know me. And getting up at 5 a.m. to be there by 6:45 was really hard until they told me that I didn't have to be there till 8. So thank you. Thank you all. What else? The main tech, yes, we were there for it. You didn't mention the Easter egg hunt. Saturday, 9 a.m. this Saturday?
Yes.
Okay. At the Bryan Park.
Correct.
Okay. If you guys remember, we have all those great little areas and it's separated out for kids of all different ages so that your little ones can be safe in their protected little areas, and bring your neighbors, bring your kids, bring your family, friends, whatever. But bring them, you're going to have a great time, and they always do such, leisure services does such a beautiful job. Also, I am heading out at 3 o'clock this morning. Tomorrow morning, sort of. A couple hours from now, heading back up to Tallahassee. As Commissioner Hardy mentioned, no South Florida cities have been included in the budget process in the State House. No South Florida, not one South Florida city. So as you know, we have our water projects, which are priority for us here within the community. We also have the project that you all know I've been working extremely hard on with staff and through the support of everyone involved, is the Ocean Current project. The ask that we have is, in comparison to the cost of the project, is a small ask, which basically will ensure us the survey work and the things that we need and the steps that we need to ensure to apply for permitting so we can create. And in an interesting turn of events, I got a strange phone call from Sweden this past week. One of the scientists working on the project, that is, I can't think of it. Monesto. If you see the presentation that we're preparing, asking, "So hello, Mayor," and introduced himself to me. "I hope you don't mind me bothering you, but I'm calling you to find out, so how far along are you with this docking station? Because we're ready to prove concept on our invention." And they were going to be having a presentation soon. Now, just so you know, we introduced, interviewed 6 or 9 different companies that were from all over the globe that were talking about this. So we've got the federal government to be involved in this, to understand the project. We've got locally, and this relationship that we have with Florida Atlantic, and they have been supported very strongly in financial ways from the federal government. The state doesn't realize when we're talking about this, this isn't just, we're not talking, and I'm sorry, I don't take an opportunity very often, but this isn't just about Lake Worth. This is renewable energy source. 4 places in the world where we can actually harness it from. One of them happens to be off our shoreline. This isn't just about Lake Worth. So if there's only 4 places in the world, guess what? We're the only city off our coastline that owns its own electric utility. The only one. So we know when we're advanced and moving on in this project and we're much more nimble and we've been proved and concepts proved, we're sure the big guys will all come in and want to be a part of this. But this is our opportunity, because we are agile, because we are nimble, to actually introduce this. But it's not just about, hoo-ha, Mayor, what is she talking about with that Gulf Stream thing? It's honestly creating a renewable source of energy that, unlike wind, solar, and other things that are intermittent, is available 24/7, constant, and can provide a real consistent form of renewable energy for the world, not just here. And just the ability right off our coastline, what was it, 3 to 4 nuclear power plants of energy can be produced from the Gulf Stream right off our shoreline? So this is what we're going up there to do, and why I'm going at 3 o'clock in the morning to be there for appointments at 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, is to convince them with these small pots of money that they have in certain areas to give us this small ask, because we're not asking for us, we're asking for the state of Florida to create an industry cluster and a new viable energy business, just like, I don't know, like IT was in Silicon Valley and all of those other places for in science and invention and IT. You know what? This could be Florida's legacy project in regards to this, and we could be introducing a new form of energy there. I think it's important enough to get up off my butt any time of the day or night and go when I'm called to go for. We've got Jeff Atwater's going to be up there with us. We've got other people that are going, and we're going to be knocking on doors. And you know, I know I'm a little bit of a wallflower, and I'm a little shy, but I will wait outside of whatever office I have to for how long I have to. And I don't know if it'll happen this time around. They've already cut us out, and we shouldn't feel bad. This year, at least we weren't cut out just us, like we were in the past. They cut out all of South Florida. But if there are dollars to be had, we're going to get them, and we're going to get them tomorrow. So wish me luck and keep me in your prayers for tomorrow, please. Thank you. All right, let's move on, you guys. Public participation of non-agenda items and consent agenda items. Betty Resch, you're up first, followed by Anna Maria Hunt.
Ted, so with history, we have such a proud history in our city. And one of the things that we're very well known for are our parades, our amazing parades. And we lost a friend. Lake Worth lost a good friend this week. Madeline Garbarino was known as the parade lady. For 44 years, she organized, ran, promoted the Christmas parade. She started the St. Patrick's Day parade. She started the Veterans Day parade. And she did that for 44 years. She created the foundation that our parades are now based on. And she sadly passed away this week. Her funeral is tomorrow morning in Lantana at the church on Lantana, or the Catholic Church on Lantana Road. I have the obituary here for the time if anybody's interested. But I just thought it bared mentioning to thank her and have the legacy that she started for our city and is carried. Who here has been to a Lake Worth parade? They're the best. We're known for them, and she started it. And I just want to say thank you to Madeline with her crazy sequined hat and her whistle and her golf cart. Thank you for starting our legacy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna Maria, followed by Lee Simons.
404 South C Street, Anna Maria Windish Hunt. I came because I'm a volunteer. Thank you for mentioning it. And the problem I have with this is that we're not in the local paper. That's right. I don't mean your paper. But Lantana's mentioned, West Palm Beach. We got no publicity. I don't know who's in charge of communications or marketing, but I think I have a problem with that because we're now in our 11th year. We've grown this event to the point where this year we're giving away 60 free hats to the first come, first serve for the little girls and the boys. We have donations from the volunteers who have discretionary time. They came, we created them, And we want everyone to know that this is happening. So the gates open at 9 a.m. and they can pick up their hats. The parade, the bonnet parade, starts at 9:40. We go from the Gulfstream Hotel over to the stage and the little bunny hop. We did lose Mrs. Rabbit this year because she said she couldn't fit into the dress. And Mr. Rabbit, I think, might still be sitting here. He's just felt it was his time to also quit. So basically, we're trying really hard. This has been an 11-year project that we grew from practically nothing. First year, we didn't have shirts for volunteers. We went to Resource Depot, got 75 shirts, hand-painted them for the volunteers, and we still have volunteers involved. So thank you, but we need publicity. And the algorithm, according to the Facebook and those, I don't really know, I'm not computer literate, but I know what that means. So I suggested that they post, since we are down because of the ADA compliance, if something's happening in the city, post it around 7 in the morning. You know, I think you can time it to blast it. So when you're having coffee and you're planning your day, you can plan for these events during the day. So that has nothing to do with ADA compliant. That's just being conscientious.
Thank you. Lee Simons, followed by Todd Townsend.
There's another paper besides the Herald?
Locally.
Hi. Hi, everybody. So this is my, I'm so nice to see such a high-spirited conversation today. My first meeting I've attended. So I introduce myself. I'm Lee Simons, geologist by trade, education, and hydrologist. So I'm the other type of hydrologist, not the drinking water hydrologist, the environmental water type hydrologist, the water that's out in the Everglades type hydrologist. So I'm the field guy. So my background, U.S. Geological Survey, federal level, and the Florida Geologic Survey, rocks and rivers, and then most recently out in the district, so collecting water samples and that kind of thing. So I'm a new resident to Lake Worth. It's been 2 years.
Welcome.
So, and what I've noticed, and so everybody has a default, and as Mr. Williams was talking about, when he sees kids and he puts little situations together, and he has this internal training that happens in his mind. Well, and that's in the educational system. He knows what to bring on, and he knows what's going to work. I have the same thing. I have the same type of thinking, but it's a different type of thinking. Born and raised here in Florida, not actually born, but raised here in Florida, I know of the mosquito problems. And what I've noticed just most recently, my three favorite seasons are coming up: mango season, avocado season, and mosquito season. So given the mosquito season, the trash can lids are open, and what's going to happen when it rains? I don't know if you've ever, when you bring your trash can lid in, you close it and you smell what's going on inside of your, it's got a really strong smell. And I don't have to tell everybody what's in there, but it's really nasty, and it's chemical, and there's biologic stuff in there, and there's other types of chemical things in there, but it's the biological things that are kind of dangerous. And so those are that's basically, it's going to be activated by the rainwater, and so it makes a certain type of water. And there's really no scientific name for the water, but I do know that there's bacteria and viruses and diseases. And so add that to the nature of the mosquito. I'm not an entomologist, but the mosquito the mosquito uses just a minute amount of water, like say the moisture under a leaf to basically procreate, make larvae, but a little bit of an 1/8 inch or 3 inches of water in the garbage can. Mosquitoes will love that because it's dark and it's a mosquito breeding ground. Everybody leaves them open, and this is what we do here in Lake Worth, and this is what I've seen. So guess what I'm getting at is, and I'm not tabling another ordinance, and I'm not saying that there should be a law or ordinance on this, but if we're gonna put our kids through school and teach them science, and when we go to college and we learn engineering and science and all this. So we'll take a basic little thing and apply it to politics, and we could possibly prevent a lot of the, well, everybody knows the Wynwood Wall situation. Everybody knows that situation that happened down there. People were afraid to go in that area.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're
So
time.
yeah, so my time is up.
Yeah,
All I'm
that's what
saying, all I'm asking is just giving the wisdom to the folks who make the decisions, and bringing awareness to the table. That's all I'm doing. Close the garbage can lids. There's no moisture, and we possibly it could be helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Todd Townsend, followed by the Honorable Joe Agley.
Everybody, go ahead and open up those little things that I gave you, your little diagram that I made by hand. So I'm talking about the Todd Townsend 502 South J Street. And under the leadership of Commissioner Robinson, we've all been working on how to make the beach the actual engine for our city, which is actually what it should be. So if you just look really close at this diagram, I know I have a very short amount of time. The changes that I want to make are in red. And from left to right, you'll see that roundabout on the left-hand side. And you'll see that red area going right down to the driveway that goes from north to south, and then brings you back up to the top of the to the beach, to the main driveway in front of the pool area in the casino building. We need to add that little area right there. And that's going to make it so that we've got a one-way road going right there, and we've got a drop off so people can drop people off right there. And then the cars can just go out and then leave the beach or come back around or go and park and then come back up. So by having that, that is also going to produce a leeway for water. So if we get that 20-foot storm surge, which is going to come one of these days, that water is going to be directed right down that way instead of in our new pool that we're going to build, right? Because the pool is pretty much level with everything. So if we get a 20-foot storm surge, we're looking at a brand new pool filled with salt water. It's going to be a mess. So if we build that, that's going to really alleviate a lot, and it's going to make it so that we don't have to drive in front of the pool in the casino building, which is what people want. Nobody wants driving in front of there. We're trying to raise our level of whatever. Most people don't. Some people do. So that's going to make it so we don't have to drive in front of that. And the other, so if you look at behind the casino building where I've got that in red also, one of the other problems that people talk about is doing unloading in front of the casino building, trucks and stuff. Nobody likes that. People eating there, and trucks and cars and stuff, not cool. We don't want that. So I've created this little area for a ramp to go right up behind the casino building so that all deliveries and stuff will be delivered to the back of the building, not to the front of the building, while everybody's hanging out enjoying the front of the building. And then right next to that is where we want to replace the dumpster and put the dumpster right next to that. So we want to sink the dumpster just a little bit and have a drain going right out down the gully there, so that it'll just look like a nice terrace area and not obviously a dumpster set, right? So if you like that, you should like that. So then if you just look over to the far right-hand side where it's just like that red strip over by itself there, that is where we need to replace that little bit of road that goes into the, what's that park next to it? The Chrysler Park. That road is currently just a little bit west of where I've got it marked now. So we just want to move that road directly in front of the area where we've got the ramp and the dumpster, so that the big trucks can come in there and pull into that and then back up into our ramp into the loading zone so that they can unload and bring in stuff in or out, and then just boogie right back on out to A1A right there.
Thanks,
So I want everybody to go ahead and accept that and let me know what you think. And I'll be ready to accept my consultation fee. And we'll talk to you later. Have a great day.
Thanks, Todd. Joe? It's so good having you back.
At the risk of sounding petty, I hear a lot about downtown parking. And on April 10th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was downtown, and I noticed cones were blocking the roadway from Caleros to Surrey's, I think it is. And, you know, I didn't know it was allowed to have a private business in a state road right away, but that's what's taking place there. Actually, I went across the street. Thank you. I went across the street to the brick oven pizza thing and had a sandwich. And I was just observing. And what I saw was there was a little putt-putt mobile, I guess you want to call it, that was chained to a palm tree. And there was another car, a white car, parked in front of Calero's. Well, this gentleman, a valet, if you will, got up and had words with the guy that had his car chained to the palm tree. And then he went down, and there was the white car. He moved it across on the north side to a parking spot over there, so he had a clear path all the way down. And, you know, with all due respect, Captain, the officer that was down there didn't say anything to him. And I guess you have the same thing on Lucerne with cones blocking the road. But the situation is that there's no enforcement taking place down there. I watched this officer talk to this valet while he moved the car. And on several occasions, 2 weeks prior, he was down talking to the people at the tattoo shop, and a bicycle went right past him, and he said nothing. And then on April 10th, when I was across the street, 2 bicycles went past him while he was talking to the valet. And a skateboard went by on my side of the street, the north side of the street. So you spend a lot of money putting signs up that are not enforced. And I think this should change. Either that or take the signs down. You know, it's totally up to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, moving on to approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hardy, seconded by the Vice Mayor. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Don't forget the consent agenda. We moved item L to May 2nd, so that's off the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hardy, second.
Second.
Seconded by the Vice Mayor. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 10, our public hearing. This is the city ordinance, which is in its second reading, meaning that we had our presentation, the first reading, so we will forego that unless you have any other questions or would like to see it again, any fellow commissioners. Other than that, I'm sorry.
I think the city attorney has to read the.
I understand that.
I apologize.
Yeah, they have to read it before the end, before we vote on it. Yeah, I was just laying down the groundwork for it. Thank you. City attorney, would you read the ordinance?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 2019-01 of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending the City of Lake Worth Beach Comprehensive Plan by adopting a cultural master plan and a transfer of development rights program, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Seconded. Conversation?
Well,
Commissioner
just
Robinson.
like to point out that the accessory dwelling units are not in the single-family zone in this, and it's one of the best areas to put a unit like that. And I don't think it was discussed enough or surveyed enough or public input on that to I would like to see the accessory dwelling units included in single-family zoning.
Okay.
But for now, let's move forward with it.
Okay. Commissioner Hardy?
I just have 2 or 3 questions of William, who, we've had conversations, Mr. Waters, about development in the city of Lake Worth and sometimes some of the things that holds development back. Can you talk to me about the role of cost of construction, when it comes to certain things, what it costs to build, certain types of units versus what you can market those units for?
It's
That's a very open-ended question for the record. William Waters, Community Sustainability Director. There are a couple of factors that would go into that. The type of construction itself, whether it's multifamily, single-family, duplex, or low-rise, mid-rise, high-rise.
Multifamily mid-rise.
Based on the building permits that have been coming in, they are finished at about $125 to $150 a square foot.
Right.
The average general market rate in Lake Worth for one bedroom is around $900 to $1,200 a month. The unit sizes are around 800 square feet. It costs about $100,000 to build a unit.
So they're not economical.
They can be economical because most of the units that have been built so far have had some subsidies to encourage them to remain affordable.
Correct. Okay. And so I guess, basically what this is something that allows people to get extra height and density if they pay for it. They have to buy extra development rights from the city because the city has development rights that it's not using. Is
Right.
that okay? So would that not increase the cost of construction for that particular development? I mean, for example, if what's allowed is 4 stories and they get to go to 6 because they bought the development rights from us, wouldn't they be adding to the cost of construction because they're paying for something that they could have gotten if we just upzoned the property?
Well, we can't upzone the property. We'd have to create a whole new zoning category. So
Sure,
it'd be something
that's
different.
that's something we
The
do from
cost
time
that's
to time.
proposed, and we'll be bringing back a resolution for you to have like a bank of those development rights, is proposed to be anywhere from $5 to $10 a square foot, and that would add as much as 5% to the cost of the construction of a unit.
Okay. All right. Okay. So look, everybody knows how I feel about this. I think this is an overly complicated mechanism to, increase the development rights of certain properties in the city. I think there's a much more transparent mechanism, namely through the zoning process. You can create new zoning districts. You can increase what's allowed in the zoning districts that we currently have. You can change the comprehensive code or plan in other ways. And I just wish that this were divided from the cultural arts master plan, which I really, really like. I like the cultural arts master plan. I do not like the transfer of development rights concept here. I don't think we're using it the way that other cities have traditionally used that idea. So I'll be voting no, unfortunately, on this, and I'll be ready to move on.
Okay. We've got a card from Tammy Panza.
Hi there. Tammy Panza, 160 North L. I think the transfer of development rights is a little bit of a pay-to-play thing. We have a pay-to-play with the all the additional things that we can do already and get extra height and get extra density and get extra stuff. We already have a pay-to-play, and people who have more money can pay to get that. So I don't think we should sell our development rights. We may want to use them, and we may find ourselves in a situation where somebody has all the development rights purchased. Aside from the fact it's hard to organize, I don't think we should have this included at all because I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think we should sell our development rights for our buildings, especially since they're historic in most cases. Additionally, the accessory dwelling units, I'm not sure what it is that is not included. All I know is that I have one and I like it, and small house living is in, and we want to tend to tear down buildings and then put up smaller ones attached together. So we have all of these same size units. Let's say we have a 600 square foot unit and a 700 square foot unit on a 25-foot lot, and now we want to tear everything down and then build a bunch of them stuck together that look nicer and probably serve the same purpose and put them on a bigger lot and like apartments, but it's okay because they're attached together. I think we have small house living, and small house living is in, and we should protect that, which makes Lake Worth what it is, the cottage district. It's like Martha's Vineyard. It has all those cottages, all those old tent sites. Lake Worth has that. We don't want to tear it down and replace it with a bunch of condos. I think you're taking away that which is Lake Worth. So, thanks.
Commissioner Robinson?
The transfer of development rights will that affect South Federal Highway in any way?
It could.
I'm sorry?
It could. predicated on the language that's there, you have to exhaust the use of all the development rights that are available in that area before you can actually trigger the use of the transfer development right program. So Federal Highway allows at the base 20 units an acre. You can get a 25% bonus through an urban plan development to get that to 24. And then if you wanted to add on 10 units an acre, then you get the transfer development right program. You get to 34 units an acre.
Do you see it benefiting South Federal Highway's development?
It should. It may encourage smaller type units because the building envelope is only so big, and it doesn't get commensurately that much bigger by buying the development rights. But you could definitely behoove yourself of having more units in the same size building.
Can you see coming back with an ADU change or addition?
We're going to put together some information for you because it does entail making some changes to both the comprehensive plan as well as the zoning code, and we should give you the pros and cons of both of those and how you go about it. And as Mr. Commissioner Hardy mentioned, we've been asked to put something together for a workshop later.
This year?
I heard it's June, so I'll cancel my vacation and stay.
City Manager?
Just a couple of points of clarification. William, on the development rights, the TDRs, if somebody doesn't have a project specific and who is looking to build something, can another person buy development rights without having a project?
No.
So there isn't a market that you're creating in this system or somebody banking a bunch of development rights arbitrarily.
No.
It would have to be transferred specific by project and only for that project.
Right.
Okay. So there's not a free market system working here where somebody can come in and buy all the development rights and hoard them. Secondly, the preponderance of cottages in the city exist in the single family zoning districts surrounding the more intense areas like the downtown. Would the transfer of development rights be used in those single family areas?
Well, I wish we had a map. Most of the areas that are around downtown are not zoned single family. They are zoned either MF20, multifamily 20, multifamily 30.
In the downtown.
Single family.
Right.
Well, the downtown, none of it's zoned single
Right.
family.
Correct. But that's where the preponderance of development rights would be used, not where the
Yes.
cottages exist, the single family
No.
cottage. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't intended for replacing of cottages. It was about in the downtown higher zone districts where people could actually be doing development.
Okay. Commissioner Hardy?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to register for the record my other objection to this, which is that private landowners, private property owners are not able to participate in this transfer development rights program, right? So like in other cities, private property owners are able to sell their development rights. In other cities that have this, for example, like West Palm Beach or other cities throughout the country, private property owners are able to sell their development rights. Here, the city is granting itself a privilege, the ability to sell the development rights on its property, but every other property owner in the city is not able to participate in this thing that the city is doing. It's not, again, the way that other cities have used this program, and I think it's like we're giving ourselves a privilege that private property owners won't be able to have unless they want to buy these things. And if you're concerned about short-term oriented property owners selling off their development rights in areas that we want to have developed, as I've noted before, you can create sending and receiving zones so that some people can only sell and some people can only buy. I think that'd be much more equitable, but that's not what we have here. I think this is a very unusual TDR program. So again, I'll be voting no. I wish I could vote yes for the Cultural Arts Master Plan though, but it's tethered to this.
William? Any explanation of any of the issues brought up here? Are there any explaining
I
to do?
didn't hear a question. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, just making sure that that everything being represented is what is being represented. Okay. Got a motion on the floor in a second. Public comment is spoken. No further public comment cards. Seeing there are none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 3-1. Thank you. We're moving on to, let's take a quick break. 5 minutes, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, 2 hours. Wow.
Madam Mayor, it's 8 o'clock.
Would hope that
All
the
right, folks, if
commission
you'll find your
establishes
seats.
a new policy for the docks.
All right, folks, find your seats. We'll resume. We're moving on to item 12A.
You know, he's out to get it.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Mike, we need to talk about
We've got
this.
quiet
We
in the
need to talk
chambers,
about
please. We've moved on to 12A, and I've already got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. It's resolution number 14-2019, adopting and addressing and street naming policy. Who is presenting? City Manager? City Manager.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Who is presenting on this item? Anyone?
This was Mark Stivers of the street naming policy. There you go, Mark. We had actually received a request from folks in Parrot Cove about changing North O Street. They didn't like the no designation, so they submitted some petitions. And we
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
They didn't like the no.
The no?
The no, N-O, North O.
Oh, North O.
New Orleans. And so when we were talking about it in staff, we realized we didn't have a policy in place. And so Mr. Stivers enters the scene.
Thank you for that intro. Mark Stivers with the Department of Community Sustainability.
You guys all sound really quiet. Your mics don't, I mean.
It is a little low.
It's a little
It is
soft.
little low.
Yeah. That's really soft.
Sorry.
Don't mess with me. I don't believe you.
So about a year and a half ago, we realized that we needed a policy for how we assign addresses to new parcels being created. And so we shopped around, and like any good city, we plagiarized what's already been done. So we realized that West Palm Beach had adopted a street naming and addressing policy. So we went out and grabbed their policy and we adjusted it for Lake Worth Beach. And we had it sitting on the shelf thinking we need to bring this forward soon to the commission, because this is how we already apply the addressing to the city, but we wanted to go ahead and adopt it formally. But it was one of those things that we got it done, finished, got it checked, went through everything, and realized, okay, at some point when things slow down a little bit, we'll bring it forward. So when the request came to rename North O Street, we got into a discussion about, well, how do we do this? What process do we follow? And we decided that now's the time to bring this policy forward, because with the addressing side, it talks about going from south to north, and talks about how you number things and how you do sub-numberings in a development. But it also has a section in there in dealing with street names, and whether you're doing an honorary street name or you're changing the actual name of a street. And with the actual street name change, what the policy states is that you need to notify everyone who will be impacted by this change, so they have a chance to comment or bring comments to the commission. So that's why tonight we want to bring forward first the street naming policy and the addressing policy and have you adopt that by resolution. Then the next item on your agenda is to announce the potential street name change for North O Street, and then we'll have a date certain at the next meeting for you guys to actually make that change. So that's the flow that's going to happen over the next few meetings.
Okay, thank you. We've got a motion and a second. Are there any public comment cards on this policy?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, seeing there are none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 12B, an announcement and hearing date for street name change for North O Street to North Ocean Breeze.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. So this is a request now, obviously, that was made by members of the community, I'm assuming the neighborhoods?
Yeah, that's correct. There's some people in the neighborhood who brought forward a request. As you know, South O Street was renamed Ocean Breeze a while ago, so it's just continuing that north all the way to Wellesley. So it would be from Lake all the way north to rename North O Street to Ocean Breeze.
Okay. Are there any public comment cards on that? You need a public comment card to... What? What, you need to put a card in.
Yeah, I don't have a card.
Okay. Well, you need to fill out, yeah.
Marshall Pass 415 Ocean Breeze Street. I believe it's not South O or South Ocean Breeze. It's Ocean Breeze Street.
Correct.
But it would be on the south.
That's my point. Are we becoming South Ocean Breeze?
No. And we're not Ocean Breeze Street, we're just Ocean
Or
Breeze.
Ocean Breeze, right, so are we going to become South Ocean Breeze if they're becoming North Ocean Breeze?
Not unless you submit a name change.
So we're gonna leave it that
No.
way?
You're south because you're south of.
Right, because I
We're only
since
talking
everything else is
about
north and
north.
south?
We're only
Okay,
talking about
and the
North
other, the other comment I'd like to
Quiet
just,
in the chambers, please. I'm sorry. It's
So
hard
the
to,
other- the oth-
it's hard to hear, guys, today, if you don't mind.
see, the other quick comment I want to make was, talk's gone around lately in Facebook, and it's gone on previous years where to consider something to the effect of letting the other streets in the city become names also, which would give a more personal touch to, you know, the whole city, not just east of Federal. So why not let those other streets, and you can have them in English, Spanish, or Creole, or Finnish, but you allow the other streets to also have names. They don't have to be north and south, they just have to have names, though, to them, which I think is a lot more intimate, let's say, for small town kind of a feel, rather than, you know, just like West Palm Beach, you go from Banyan to Camadas to Datura, etc. Why not look into something along those lines for our city as well? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that what was just brought up, I mean, it's a good conversation to have. This just happens to be one street that a request was actually brought to discuss. So, and that had to bring back a naming policy, number one. And number two, if people on other streets wanted to do that or whatever, they would have to file their own requests. The policy just gives us the opportunity to have a vehicle in which we can make that happen. The first thing has to be the communication with the entire community affected by this and their input on it. So it can't just be, hey, I want to do that and I live on that street. You now have to get the input of the rest of the street and the rest of the neighborhood. So it's the process for doing it. We're just creating today that process for doing it. We have one request in, and that happens to be on North O. Correct? We've got a motion on the floor in a second. I'm sorry, Commissioner Hardy, I didn't see your light.
Look, this is what I'll say, and I had a conversation with Anthony Marotta, president of Pear Cove Neighborhood Association, and I was at Eden Place Neighborhood Association last night where this was discussed. I do not object to changing the name of this street, North O, to North Ocean Breeze. I think, first of all, that because there's already an Ocean Breeze to the south of Lake Avenue, it makes sense to want
I'm
to...
sorry, time's up. No.
Oh, well.
I hate to do a double negative. It doesn't not make sense, right? To change the name, right? It's not a terrible illogical thing that we're doing here in this case. Now, what I'll say is this idea of changing every lettered street from this to that because some realtor told someone at some point that this would increase your property values without, by the way, any data to back this up. without any actual information, some realtor said that this is going to change your property values in a positive way. I am not for. First of all, I think the layout of the streets is pretty logical from A on up as you go from west to east, and the avenue is increasing as you go from the center of the city north and south. And in addition to that, if we're concerned about property values, there are 30 other things we could do, right, to increase the value of people's properties. We can improve the schools, we can continue to improve the roads, we can continue to improve the safety. We can do so many other things. We can legalize accessory dwelling units. We can do so many other things to improve the value of people's property. So this is like, this will be the last time I vote to change the name of a street. I shouldn't say never, but this will probably be the last time I vote to change the name of a street. So, yeah. I really hope we do not see, A Street try to turn into Atlantic Street.
It's a shame the next request was for Hardy Avenue, but.
Oops. Well, he said there might be one or two other times.
I'll be the first to vote against that.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor in a second. Again, this is to have the policy in place for this, obviously, to go back to the community so that the neighbors on North O can put their input in on this. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on to 12C, discussion about the casino complex brought forward by Commissioner Robinson. I thought we said we weren't gonna put on these discussions on, did we say last time? we're gonna put on as agenda items and not discussions? So we can actually vote on things?
Well, we can vote on it.
Well, I mean, in a more proper form, like bringing items in as backup and agenda items, but we touched on it last time. You know what? I'm just gonna shut up, but I'm gonna revisit my minutes on the last one and see what it said about that. But I thought we had words about that last time around. Okay. So discussion. Commissioner Robinson.
Well, what I'm trying to do is get a commitment to move forward with the casino park pool. And there is a task order that we've already entered into with CPZ. And I'm asking to move to task order number 2. And
Motion to approve.
Second. And wait. May I?
Commissioner Hardy?
I'm going to withdraw my second because I would like to make a more specific motion.
Okay, so we've got a motion to approve. What's your more specific motion?
My motion would be to approve a second task order, and this is really important, right? So why would we spend, I just want to make sure I get this number right, $82,000 to study and come up with conceptual designs for a pool that we haven't actually set aside money for or made sure that the money will be there. So in addition to approving this task order, I would like to make a motion to set aside a portion of the penny sales tax money for this purpose, to make sure that if we like what comes back, that we could, first of all, give you a budget. That's very important, right? And make sure that the money's actually there. So I would like to approve the task order. That's my motion. And in addition to that, I would like to make a motion to set aside at least $8 million.
Well, hold on a second. We've got a motion on the floor already. Wait, you want to finish your thought so we have it all out?
To set aside $8 million for the casino complex.
Okay.
For the beach.
So now that would mean that you would have to remove your motion.
No, I will amend my motion to that. However, I'm concerned, I'm always the money person, and I'm concerned that this was, did I not have a conversation about that with you? About what's on the agenda tonight? Did you have a conversation with everyone here? Why wasn't this put into this motion prior to us getting here? Okay, that should have been in the motion that we're looking at, that you got to look at, that everybody got to see that it was in that. Okay, so I amend my motion to accept the $8 million. Is there a second? I mean,
yeah, I will second that.
If I can remember, it's a designate, not set aside, because we don't have the money yet. You're saying to designate.
Designate.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Just so really important. This was a discussion item. Typically, staff doesn't bring forward recommended motions on discussion items, but we, the commission, may, in any discussion item, make any motion that we may well put. We just have to be on top of our stuff as far as the motions that we're making, and we have to be a little more precise because we can't lean on staff.
I understand that we don't need to have staff to have a motion on any item.
They're just following procedures.
I'm well aware of that. But what I'm saying, though, it also doesn't provide for backup on an item so that we can have the appropriate backup to make it. So that's where that's where the conflict comes in. And that's why I want us to have discussions and then direct staff back to come back with an agenda item that has an actual backup on it so that we can do it.
I have no problem with that. As you know, put it this way. If staff were to write that out, okay, about this contentious issue, okay, I don't see any issue with us being able to make these. I see what you're saying, but that's kind of irrelevant. Let's just.
I mean, it's contentious. Yeah. We've had a discussion about contentious issues, and it's our job to handle contentious issues. Yeah. And last I remember, I was one of the only people talking about rebuilding the pool. before Commissioner Robinson was here. So I'm with you. I'm good. I'm glad we're all on the same page. It's nice to have more people on the same page. Thrilled. Motion on the floor in a second. All those, oh, we have public comment card. Sorry. Excuse me. Do we want to, or do we want us to vote? Lindy Sato, followed by Cheryl Rashkin.
So we're at Lindy Cito, 316 Princeton. I spoke to you a couple of months ago about this issue, and I'm sorry to hear tonight that we're going to put $8 million back into a pool. We are in an evolution, as Mayor Trillo stated in her city address. You have more new people coming into this city who will bring tax-paying money to go up to that casino. That project needs to be a revenue-generating entity for this city. We sat here tonight and listened to that principal talk about the derelict and the lack of funding that they get. That is all over this city. And if you bring in more people to start talking about programming and uplifting our community, you are going to do that by generating dollars that will flow back into this city. And $8 million on a failed historical data project is concerning to me. And I would hope tonight that you really think about, if you are going to put a pool back at that complex, it better darn well pay for itself over the next couple of years and not continue to be a drain on a very limited city budget. I honor you for what you do, but this is one thing that I highly disagree with you on, and I will be an influencer in my community to rally around that and make sure that we continue to be good stewards of the limited dollars that we have in this city. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Cheryl Rashkin, followed by Bob Lipa.
Good evening, Cheryl Rashkin, 1302 South Palmway. I have to agree with Miss Sato. I really do. I've lived in the city for a long time. I've been around the city for a long time. I worked in the city prior to moving into the city. My husband worked for the city and retired from the city. My children came here when we lived in another location, and they took swimming lessons at the pool when people actually went to the pool. That was during the summer months. And that's because they were in the summer camp program that the city sponsors and put forth, and our children were in that program. So they were in there swimming with the city group. Why can't we move the city pool to a location more contiguous to where our children live? The beach is not where they live. They visit the beach. My grandchildren visit the beach. But to go swimming, they go out to Lake Lytle if they're not in our pool or neighbors. I can't see spending a vast amount of dollars to put into a pool at the beach that's not going to be utilized by a good percentage of our residents. And if we had the ability to have it somewhere on the main portion of Lake Worth Beach, I think it would get a vast greater amount of use for that. And I have to concur with the mayor's statement a few minutes ago, and that is for you to bring forward a motion without having all the backup material for others to review, to have insight as to what you're doing and how you're going to proceed. That's not really nice government business. And I was in the government for a while. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Lipa? He's gone. Okay, he left a comment on here. I believe a community pool should be used in the community. If we spend money on a pool, it should be on the mainland or partner with Lake Worth High School? Oh, no. Where the residents live. Okay. Tom Copeland? During my time as a candidate for office, I've had the pleasure of meeting hundreds of neighbors from all corners of the city. My team and I found the majority of residents either disagree outright with rebuilding a pool at the beach complex, or at least are apathetic and don't think it's necessary. They think it would be too expensive to build or maintain, and they thought the money could be better utilized elsewhere, such as improvements to our downtown neighborhoods and major roads. Please remember this. Are you timing this? Because I'm reading this.
Is it going to be more than 2 minutes? I apologize.
Please remember this evening that the complex is in need of reinvestment, but we're limited in our resources and must prioritize. Above all else, we must prioritize finishing construction once and for all of the complex and second floor, prioritize building a permanent stations for our lifeguards, prioritize the need to expand parking. These needs alone will cost millions, never mind the additional millions a new pool would require to build, and tens of millions over the generation would cost to maintain. Have tonight the courage not to be swayed only by the faces you see at City Hall, but instead to consider what's best long-term interest in favor of all 36,000 residents of the city of Lake Worth Beach and our limited public dollars and funding. Tom Copeland. Okay. Richard Gercio, followed by Anthony Segrich.
Madam Mayor, Richard Gercio, 720 South Palm Way. I'm glad that this has been brought up. I really have. I'm tired of hearing about years and years of failed business models. You fix it. You come up with a new business model and a new way of doing things, a new way of approaching what you do with the pool. We've had this conversation. I, on the campaign trail, talked about how we changed the model. We have a contract with the county. I've talked about it right here, right? That says we can't offer anything to our citizens that we don't offer to the citizens of the county, right? So we offer a parking pass to anyone that buys an annual membership to the pool. And then we tell the county, here you go, offer it to the rest of your residents. You get more here. You open the pool up for longer periods of time. You alleviate that one issue that people say, I have to spend $6 just to park to go and use the pool. You get rid of that problem. Change the business model. Don't say we failed at it, we can't do it any longer. Just change it. Let's fix it. And I'd be glad to sit down with you and go over it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anthony Segrich, followed by Tammy Panza.
Anthony Segrich, 601 South Palm Way. New resident, just moved here in September. Thank you for this time. I would have to agree with Cheryl about the procedure. You know, this item was down as a discussion and not really something that we thought was a vote. Second, people voted to rename the town Lake Worth Beach, not Lake Worth Pool. Putting a pool or fixing a pool at the beach isn't going to bring in tourism. No one goes to the beach to go to a pool. It's a simple fact. Comments.
Quiet in the chambers, please. Show some respect,
comments
please.
As to changing the business model. The business model is a pool at the beach. That's what failed. No matter how you charge for it, no matter what scheme you come up with, the simple fact is people go to the beach to go to the beach, not to go to a pool. It's Lake Worth Beach. The idea of taking those funds and moving them inland, I think, is a great one. The engineering costs alone of having a pool on a beach with dangers like hurricane, saltwater intrusion, sand erosions, and things of that nature make a pool on the beach probably 5 to 10 times more costly than having a pool on the mainland here. And the pool on the mainland will be a lot closer to the families and children that would actually use it. So I'm not against having a pool in Lake Worth. I think a community pool is a great idea, but having one on the beach doesn't make any financial sense. It hasn't for years. It failed. Why make it fail again? Thank you.
Thank you. Tammy Panza, followed by Janet Labanero. I'm sorry if I messed it up, but I couldn't read it.
Tammy Panza, 116 North L. Regarding the pool and the allocation of funds from the penny sales tax to the pool, I think we just made a motion to allocate $8 million to the casino project. What the pool or what the puddle or what the thing that contains water is still not in existence on paper anyway. As far as backup, I just read the backup. There is backup in there with regard to what they are addressing. And that's just, we're committing to make a plan to do something up there with the penny sales tax money while we have it. Pretty simple. We're making a commitment to help a capital asset that we have get completed and funded and move on. So the backup's there. I actually read it, and I wanted to thank you guys for actually putting the backup in a place where I could access it, because I didn't have time to do it before the meeting. It's on the wall. Thank you. So that's it.
Thank you, Janet, followed by Nancy Udell.
Good evening. My name is Janet Labanera. You got it right. 223 North K Street, could be Kiwi Street. No. Anyway, just a little levity on this serious topic. I am very happy to hear of this motion tonight. I've been coming forward about my support for the pool and the fact that one of the main reasons I moved here was because we had a wonderful pool. And I would like to say that I have so enjoyed the water exercise program that we used to have at the pool. Now we have to go to Lake Lytle, and I still love that and go there, thanks to Sally Welsh, who runs a great program. And I am currently myself almost completely certified by the United States Water Fitness Association. I'm on page 45 of the 47-page test. And so I'm really close. I'm really excited about taking on a new career in water fitness. I have learned a tremendous amount about the importance of water fitness, about the programming that has modernized. There are a lot of new programs that we didn't have back when the pool ran. The location is not the only reason that that pool was not successful. We do need to have excellent programming, excellent administration, but that is possible. And I just believe I know there are pools that are financially sustainable. Some are even majorly profitable. The conception that a pool cannot be profitable is not true. And there are consultants with the United States Water Fitness Association and others, that's right in Boynton Beach. So there is a way to make it successful, and I believe we can do it.
Thank you. Nancy Udell, followed by Joe Agley.
Hi, everybody. Nancy Udell, 1131 North Palmway, with a name. It's interesting because every very nice hotel that I've ever been to, including the Four Seasons and the Tide Line on our beach, also have a pool. People like to go to a pool and to the beach. It's a very, very common thing at a nice hotel. Also, the pool is part of a public park. It doesn't need to make money for the city, just like the golf course doesn't make money. A public park is for the people. It should be supported. It'd be great if it could make money, but that doesn't have to be a requirement for the park. Bryant Park doesn't make money. I don't know what all this back and forth about staff backup, but I think it's pretty clear that staff opposes the pool. So, as I understand it.
You have to direct it towards me. I'm sorry. Please.
Okay.
Thank you. I get all the good stuff.
Well, maybe I'm wrong on that, but I thought it was pretty clear. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I thought it was pretty clear that staff opposed the pool. I moved here 4 years ago. I took my grandchildren to that pool every time we went to the beach. They loved it. They learned to swim there. Then they go swim in the ocean. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to teach them to swim at a pool and then go try it out in the ocean in the waves. And I think it's a shame that it's been allowed to go to ruin. It could have been repaired. It wasn't that expensive a repair. Anybody who's ever built a house or built a pool knows that it's not rocket science. It could have been done, but it wasn't done. We spent a lot of money on consultants. I think we should just put the pool back. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Agley, followed by Roseanne Malacates, followed by Betty Resch. Malacates. I always get to it. Every time I read it, I do it, and I know I said it wrong.
It's me again. Joe Agley, 2880 Lake Osborne Drive. I moved here in October 1969, probably before some of you were born. And the pool was an issue back then, but it was being used. But what you're faced with today, and several months ago I saw up here your priorities, and the pool didn't rate very high, as I recall, except for maybe Herman. And, you know, I've had discussions with several of you. I think you should have a pool, and I don't care where it's at. But the situation, you have to look at this logically. You've got 116 miles of streets in the city of Lake Worth, and I will not say beach, and 38 miles of alleyways. Now, if you want to draw people to the city, the pool is not going to do it. You got to improve your infrastructure, and you have to amend your comp plan. And that's the only way you're going to do it. Use that money where it's logically necessary. You know, at some point you can build a pool or repair the pool or do whatever you want to with the pool. Make a garden out of it. But the situation is your money is not well spent at the pool. Okay? Put it into infrastructure because that's what will draw new residents to the city of Lake Worth. That and increasing your density. Thank you.
Thank you. Roseanne? Malakates?
Roseanne Malakates, 101 South Lakeside Drive. I lost track of what the motion was. I thought there was a simple, I mean, we've had this discussion, you know, for 20 years. I thought there was a simple motion to ask you, do you support allocating certain funds, not an amount, just do you support that some of this money from the penny tax will go to repair and restore our pool? And I don't understand what the whole discussion is. I mean, we've been through this. We want to know how many of you sitting commission believe that some of the money, whatever the amount is, no specific amount because we don't know, we haven't worked that out yet. We just want to know if you support the pool. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get there. We have to get, I'm trying to get there. We have to make sure everyone has a chance to speak. Betty Resch, followed by Todd Townsend, followed by Art.
Betty Resch, 207 South L Street. Enjoyed the pool since 1967. Very hot place to go all the time. It was wonderful. The pool was made to fail. There was no sign. You wouldn't know there was a pool. There was a concrete wall. If you drove by, you went up to the beach, you didn't even know there was a pool there. There was no advertising, nothing about the pool. It was doomed to fail. And I'm not going to point fingers at who did it, but somebody in this city made a decision, let it go. We need a compromise. We need a compromise. I don't think we should just build what we have. I think we need some sort of pool up there. I think the splash park for the, make it so it's a water feature for the city. And who else has the opportunity to do that on a beach? Mike, I'm wondering, we had a charrette last year, spent a lot of money on it. And did it just fall into a black hole of what happened? That's all. So I think we need a compromise. I think folks that have just moved here, really thank you for your input, but there's a lot of history here, and it doesn't have to be a failed project. I agree with you on that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Todd, we already got your sketches.
Todd Townsend, 502 South J. Cool Street. So, with all these great projects you like that? So with all the new projects and the growth that Lake Worth is definitely experiencing, such as the one where the mayor was talking about, we're the only place in the area that can have this new energy thing going with the Gulf Stream and all that. Business is going to be coming to Lake Worth. Yeah, let's keep the pool going. Let's refurbish the pool. I've got a design for the pool, which includes water and high diving and everything that a pool could possibly need, But I think that we need the pool because Lake Worth is growing. Lake Worth is getting better. More business is going to be coming to Lake Worth. We need to make our pool happen. Thanks.
All right. Followed by Don. I can't read today. Rosenstein. Sorry.
Hi, Art Broughton, 103 16th Avenue South. I just want to say, first of all, I am very much in favor of this motion. I appreciate the fact that it's been brought forward. As to the pool, which is a portion of the issue, I wholeheartedly support that pool as well. The idea that this pool is doomed to be a failure based on the pool that was there previously is just a silly idea. And it's a silly idea to place into an argument. We can make a much better pool, much more interesting pool. We can make it visible from the beach. That'd be a novel idea. Instead of behind a wall that's painted with second-rate pictures on it now. We could open it up. If it needs to be closed off because of wind or blowing sand, you could put a hurricane glass fence there. It could be a beautiful thing. I encourage the city to follow up and do that. Thank you.
Mr. Rosenshine?
My name is Don Rosenshine. I live at 131 North Gulfview Road. Let's be clear. We support a family-friendly pool first for all the residents of Lake Worth. That's the most important thing. The tourists and those folks just outside the city are merely icing on the cake. In the winter, from October 1st through March 31st, there is only one pool open, Lake Lytle, and it's closed on Sunday and Monday. Florida, Fun in the Sun, 5 days, available, one pool. All these pools west of the Intercoastal closed principally because the kids are in school in the winter, and there's no kids swimming. Lake Lytle, open Tuesday through Saturday, is the only game in town. But there are no tourists at Lake Worth, at Lake Lytle. We have the tourists. How do we know we have the tourists? When we brought our petitions to the beach, they told us they wanted a pool. We went to the beach. We got 1,200 petitions. 400 were from tourists. And they told us stories how they used to use the pool. The other 800 are people from this town who need a place to go. The tourists in this same winter at our pool at the casino will help defray the operational costs of running our pool at the casino. We can charge them more. They have the discretionary money. Some will be glad to grab a drink at our planned mini bar and lounge around the pool that is 80 degrees. Then brave the 73-degree ocean water rife with rip current, seaweed, shore breakers, and high winds.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry.
This town wants a pool at the casino park.
Thank you,
It wants
sir.
a commitment of some portion of the penny sales tax toward that effort.
Thank you, sir.
So tonight, let's finally get this done.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that's all of our cards. Any more cards, City Manager?
No, Madam Mayor.
I want to talk about a couple of things just real briefly and just kind of get your feel for them all, fellow commissioners, and to you and the public too. First off, just to clarify a few things, when I was talking about there not being an agenda item on this for discussion, what I meant by that was not that it was secretive in that the way in which it's worded. When we have an agenda item, there's actually a motion up, so we will know that there's something to be voted on. So the people that are interested in coming out to discuss those things know that there's a vote for something to be happening. So, and the backup would be staff recommended or would have information that shows, just like it showed the CPZ contract and what phase it would be, but it would also go into highlighted details of all the plans that were previously submitted. And again, so people would be able to know what we're voting on and why we're voting on it for a specific reason. So it's not necessarily, I'm not talking about conspiracy theories or hiding things or something like that. It's about just people, it's, I guess, being consistent in how we portray information to the public and to one another, so we know when it's time to, you know, to get involved or whatever, because you know it affects you or doesn't affect you. That's number one. Number two, like I said before, it's no surprise that I'm supportive of a pool, and because I've talked about it from the very beginning. And for those that are new to the community, One only needs to take a look at the 1920s versions of the pool that existed up there on the beach. When I got here, the pool was closed. It had been for several years. It was already in derelict repair, and there had been rumors that the previous person that was supposed to take over the pool had damaged intentionally the pool. We opened the pool actually under three of our commissioners. The one that's missing here, opened the pool to get it back open again, and then we had a lot of infrastructure problems, leakage, and the leakage so bad that the chlorine levels couldn't be kept at the right number to be safe for children and people to actually participate in the pool because it kept leaking. And then our structural buildings started to fall apart, and the actual copings and things started to cave in certain areas, and there were a number of problems. We've had it looked at, and we've gotten past all that, but I just want to give that just history lesson for a lot of people. Sally, you were there. We had a lot of programs. I think the thing to talk about, the thing that I would like to frame it in is not just the pool, but if we're going to do this and we're going to assign dollar amounts to it, is to address, what we talked about. You're tired of hearing about the failing business plan at the casino. Let's address the lipstick on the pig here. When we opened up that casino building, that pool was ignored, and it shouldn't have been ignored, but the cost for the casino building got too expensive that they took the plan out to actually renovate and restore the pool area. So basically, we opened up a brand new, beautiful building, the casino building, that was twice as much money as they said it was going to cost to begin with, and that happened long before I was here. But they did that, but they completely ignored the pool building. So, and that was supposed to be, that was what everybody bought into, spending that money on. In the community, they bought it thinking that was going to all be a part of the complex. And there were going to be additional add-ons of retail space and space for the staff and all the problems that we have now. So here we sit with a piece of the project and the other piece that's not there. I suggest that it was used to talk, and Tammy Panza very smartly said this was used to not allocate dollars just towards the pool, but to address the casino building. There's inadequacies there that have to be addressed. We've got one of the top 5 wedding destinations in all of Florida, and we're missing out on an entire opportunity there. Do we want it to be just a community pool? Yes, perhaps a community pool would be best served away from the beach at a point in the neighborhoods. But I think that this city is more in search of not only a community pool, but a social pool. A pool that isn't just open for teaching kids, that will be open for teaching kids and lap swimmers, but also will be open at adult hours in which people can come and bring their families to and swim all times of the day and nights and on the weekends and whatever. Creating and adding features to it, there were 7 years ago, I was approached by someone who said, why the heck aren't there cabanas up at the beach? Why aren't there lounge chairs at the pool? Why is there not a bar and concessions area up at the pool that people can go if it's a bad day? They don't want to go, or the wind is too much, or the sand is kicking up. People would like to be at the pool instead of at the beach. Why aren't there? Well, our lifeguards need a lifeguard station. That was mentioned tonight. Our staff at the beach and leisure services and event planning and the lifeguards and everyone, they need a space to work. They're all working in that space that was supposed to be rented to another business to provide rent for us in that casino building that we were under. How would you describe it so I can be politically correct? We were under, we were trying to fix the leakage on the second floor casino. We were in discussions with the company that was supposed to do it right the first time.
We were in mediation.
We were in mediation. Thank you. I want to make sure I don't speak out of turn. Mediation, which lasted several years without a CO, and we've actually housed our staff that we've given no consideration to operate out of a concrete basin that leaks, to actually operate and function and bring us out of debt and out of a complete negative deficit every single session, to actually do their jobs in a concrete bunker. That can now be leased. That can now be leased. We can do something with that. But I just want to say holistically, I would urge, and sorry I'm taking so long to talk, but I never really get a chance, sorry. But, I think that we should holistically look at all of our issues up there while we're talking about this. I would have been more comfortable saying, yes, money allocated to the casino problem, as was mentioned, without a dollar amount to it, so we can actually look at budgets and see what kind of dollars are spent at it.
Agreed.
But, if that's the way it's going to get passed, we could revisit it, or we could change it in a second reading, or we can come back. But I think it's really, I don't like to approve things with an open checkbook without actually knowing what the costs involved are to do it. I don't think it's a very good policy to start doing that. However, I agree with the project, so I don't want the project to fail because I don't like the way in which this item was brought up. I would suggest, I would feel much more comfortable, and I think to the fiduciary responsibility of our jobs up here on the dais is to say, let's look at the numbers to see what it is, but to say that money should be spent, will be spent. We can put it in the affirmative, but I don't know if you want to change that. But I just want you to know it's a tricky course that we go down when we do this, and I'm all for us going forward. But let's look at the big picture, not just the pool. Let's look at the business plan when we do it. Let's look at what other options we have available to make more amenities and resources for people that are there. But that's all I have to say. It's taken a long time to get to this point. I'm just happy we're here.
Exactly.
All right, we've got a motion on, I'm sorry, Commissioner Robinson?
Well, Commissioner Hardy.
You can go ahead, and then we'll go over.
Well, there is backup, and everything that you want is in the backup for the task that I'm asking that we vote on tonight to commit to task order number 2. I would be very comfortable in having more than one vote tonight, but I don't want to get bogged down in the conversation of limit or, putting a number on things without a commitment to moving forward with the pool.
Well, the motion as it stands right now is a commitment to use towards the casino towards the casino complex, is how it's phrased.
Yes, when we talk about pool, with the understanding that everything that's in the backup, which is there, and everybody had privy to. I just want to say that the campaign is over, and clearly the community wants a community pool. We deserve an amenity that we should have. I wanted to say that staff is in a difficult position because a pool is not a dynamite income generator. In fact, it's probably not going to generate income. So they've taken the position that it's a difficult decision, not a contentious decision, but a difficult decision. And now, thanks to staff, we're at this point. We've had the community input with charrettes. Staff has done everything to creep this thing politically forward. We went through an election process, and I don't want to go over the numbers of the vote, but I certainly campaigned on a pool. And when we talk about not being in the community, there are people wanting a dog park but don't want to travel 2 miles to take their dog. When we spent $5 million on a dog park, and now they don't want to travel to go swimming. I just am disappointed that it has taken us this long, but I'm glad we're here. I want to vote on the commitment to move forward with the task order number 2. And I would ask that after we have that vote, up or down, but I'm hoping positive, we can have a motion to put a limit on dollars and move forward with some idea of how we're going to spend the penny sales tax towards roads, improving roads. The penny sales tax has to be spent on infrastructure. This is our park, and it has to be recognized as park. I don't want to talk a whole lot more.
No. I think that there's some confusion here, on my behalf or your behalf. I'm not sure which one. The confusion is that everything that you said, I agree with. I mean, I think you and I have been standing here pretty much shoulder to shoulder on this issue for a long time. The question I have is that the motion has been made with a dollar amount attached to it. That was the part that I'm saying. You said we could decide this, and then we could talk about a dollar amount later. It's already been a part of this motion.
Can we get input from CPZ or staff on that being a reasonable number?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wanted to have before we devote. That's what I was asking. I wasn't trying to be.
I don't think
wasn't
we're
trying
there
to.
yet.
Well, do we want to, or do we want to remove the number?
That's what I was
Madam Mayor,
suggesting.
can we start to?
Thank you. Well, that's exactly what I was trying to say, was that I was comfortable with the whole thing, was just saying, what is the realistic number, was number one, and then should it be attached to that, or should there be two motions? Hey, this is a discussion. We can actually have two motions in a discussion, since there are no preset motions. We can have one that says, we agree that dollars will be spent to allocate toward the pool project, right, Glenn? And then we can say, yes, we allocate. You know what I mean? We could do it in that function, just to say, I just think it just looks bad approving a number that hasn't even been given to you to do a project. Does that make sense? Commissioner Hardy?
May I ask the clerk to read the motion?
Motion was made by Commissioner Amoroso to approve the task order, and the motion was then changed by Commissioner Hardy to approve the task order to set aside a portion of the penny sales tax of $8 million for the casino complex. The attorney changed the wording by saying designate, not set aside. It was seconded by Vice Mayor Amoroso to approve as amended.
May I ask the attorney, when he hears casino complex, what does that mean to you?
Well, obviously, you're talking primarily about the beach, but the task order and the outline talks about more than just that. So the casino complex is the complex.
So it's the whole. Okay, so I just want to be clear. When you hear casino complex, you hear something that includes the pool, the actual building, the overall whatever acre park that exists there.
No, not the park.
I'm asking the attorney.
Well, again, that hasn't been fleshed out. I mean,
Okay, so that's why.
I think that's where there's some confusion.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
may I?
The task, Madam Mayor, if
Do
I
you
may.
want the list?
Juan Ruiz, Assistant City Manager, City of Lake Worth. Just to be clear, the task order that's before you to be voted on is specifically about moving forward with initial development phase for the pool footprint. Does not include any consideration of work for them to do on the dumpster improvements, the second floor, parking, traffic flow, or any of the above. This is simply about the pool footprint and taking into consideration the various project elements that we've heard through charrettes, public meetings, staff meetings, and one-on-one meetings. And that's why if you read into the detail, it talks about hybrid pool shape, talks about lap lanes, it talks about tiki hut, it talks about opening up the east view. That is all they're being tasked with this task order number 2.
Okay.
And then in addition to the additional comments, I would caution us not to repeat history by putting a dollar amount at this phase.
Thank you.
Okay, and hindering their ability to design something properly for the environment that where it's going to exist. You will get an opportunity to decide the dollar amount, all right, after they get completed, but you could give us a ceiling, but don't limit us completely to say, $6 million, not $1 more.
Well, I'm not. Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. You have me as the maker of the motion. I'm sorry.
She does.
I'm asking the clerk.
I
You
do.
have me as okay.
Yes.
Because I actually authored
Because
the
you
motion.
changed the motion.
I actually authored the motion. Okay. So as the maker of the motion on the record, I can amend. I can offer a friendly amendment to the motion.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So my friendly amendment to the motion will be this. Okay. When it comes to designating the $8 million, okay, I want to be specific that the dollars will be designated to the product of this task order. Okay? So if this task order is about the pool, then I would like to designate or set aside, because the reason why I brought that number in there was because I said, well, we're here saying that we're going to spend $82,000 for designs on something we haven't actually agreed to build or fund. And that, to me, doesn't make sense. If you're going to ask something to design something for you, you should have the money set aside to actually build what they design. Because otherwise, is this for our health that we're asking them to design something? Right? So I would like to
all
amend.
of your motion?
No. I'm explaining the motion.
I'll
be here all night.
I'm going to take a mayor's point of privilege here for a second. The mayor's point of privilege is that Commissioner Hardy did not make the motion. The vice mayor made the motion. Commissioner Hardy made the second. Because Commissioner Hardy suggested how the motion be made, and then the vice mayor rescinded his motion and made the motion based on what Commissioner Hardy said, and Commissioner Hardy seconded it. That's how it happened. And when you go back to the recording, you will see that's how exactly it happened.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, just so we have, I want history, I want everything to be on the books the way that it is. So then you will not be able to rescind the motion because you did not make the motion.
I'm not rescinding the motion. Okay, may I ask you a question? Am I allowed to offer still an amendment to the motion if I did not make the motion?
Not if you didn't make the motion.
Okay, so only the motion maker may, that does not.
If I could, I think we're getting confused. We had a simple $82,000 task order.
Right.
My suggestion is maybe just simply vote on that and then have the discussion about everything else, because what I keep hearing is a lot of muddying and a lot of confusion. I've heard three of you use the word confusion tonight on this issue. So that would be a suggestion. If you want to take it into two bites,
That's
that
why
might
it
make
needs
it
to be
easier.
in an agenda item for us to vote on. That's going back to that. But enough said.
Look,
okay.
So Glenn, that's your interpretation of the rules also, that the person who made the motion is the only person who's allowed to offer an amendment to the motion?
No, right now there's a motion that Commissioner Amoroso, Vice Mayor Amoroso made. You seconded the motion, and he accepted your tweaking of it. Now, anybody can offer an amendment to the motion.
Okay.
That amendment would need to be seconded
by
as
anyone.
well.
But the motion has to be rescinded before another motion can be made. Please.
No. This is an amendment to an existing motion.
And maybe I can turn to the Vice Mayor, and not to put you on the spot, but since it's your motion, are you comfortable with the motion as currently?
Well, I've had my light on, so I've just been waiting.
I'm trying to
Well,
get to
I have other comments, I'm trying to make a motion here. So I'm moving to amend the existing motion, which is something that, according to Glenn, I'm allowed to do under the rules.
You'd have to get a second.
Yeah, exactly. Someone would just have to second the motion.
He can
Right.
make a motion.
But how can you make a motion when there's an emotion sitting here already and a
It
second?
is a superseding motion.
He's basically asking for a substitute
Yes.
motion.
Yeah.
Unusual, but possible.
All I'm going to say is, I just want to limit the $8 million to whatever the outcome of this work product is. That's, when we talk about designating the $8 million, I'm moving to amend that language to make sure that the $8 million is designated to whatever the work product is here, which is related to the pool directly.
So you're saying $8 million just for the pool, not for
Just
the casino
for
complex.
the outcome of this work product here, which is related to the pool.
Okay. I guess, Madam Mayor, the question is there a second to that?
I don't understand the motion. What is the
I think what
product of this whatever?
Okay,
You mean
so
$82,000?
We're asking him, this gentleman here, to design us an aquatic facility at the beach. Okay? What I'm saying is, when we designate the $8 million, we're designating the $8 million to what he designs when we're asking him to design to this right here. Okay? That we're designating the $8 million to the designs that he's going to generate, which is an aquatic facility at the beach. Just to be more specific, because the motion was casino complex. That's broad. Okay? That's broad. I'm trying to narrow it to focus on what this guy is doing, what we're asking him to do. To make sure that the designation is tied directly to this task order and to absolutely nothing else.
I'm just concerned that there are pockets of money or things and places and areas to not address some of the failing projects at the same. We tried to be holistic in our handling of your initial plans that included pool in them. Maybe one of them didn't, but all the rest of them did. If we could say, okay, the aquatic complex, the plans that includes a pool, to make sure that there's no part that doesn't include a pool, but also could address or may address some of the other existing structures. I don't know. It's still too wishy-washy for me. Okay, go ahead.
No, if your concern is that by focusing on the pool with this particular motion, we're leaving out other issues at the beaches. Do I understand you correctly that was your concern that you just expressed?
No, I think that there's other things at the pool other than the actual swimming pool on what happens around that part that may be considered complex as opposed to just swimming pool. And I would hate to think that $8 million was going to be spent just on the pool itself, not the decking, not the restrooms, not the lifeguard station, not the other things that they're going to.
Yeah, that's included in all of this. Exactly. All of that is included in this task order.
Locker rooms, bathrooms, offices.
Right.
Tiki hut, so be it, the pump rooms.
Right.
It's the whole footprint where the pool facility would exist.
Right.
Like I said before, it does not include any plans for the second floor of the casino building, the dumpster improvements.
Right.
Closing down traffic or readjusting traffic flow, or even a parking deck or parking garage or additional parking. This is simply about design initial development phase for the pool footprint.
Right.
All right, so it includes everything that would support that pool function.
Precisely.
Okay.
And nothing more.
Nothing more.
Right.
Okay.
Now with casino, with the original wording of the motion, casino complex, that was taken to mean much more than the aquatic facility that he's going to be studying and designing. So it could open it up to things that have nothing to do with this task order. So if you want to make sure that the money is spent on what this agenda item is for, which is the work product that we're asking for with this task order, then we should change the motion to reflect that. Because right now, the motion has money potentially going to things outside of what's described in the four corners of this sheet of paper on my desk here.
I just think that there are other things that will be influenced by the pool that.
It's in these things that you mentioned.
But what if it's less and there's money left over? Do you spend that money?
We can always decide that. Yeah.
I think to not look holistic. Oh, let me finish. I think to not look holistically at. I want a pool open yesterday. Number one, I'll tell you what I want. I want a pool open yesterday, and I want us to be considerate of doing what we need to do to create a business model that truly can be hopefully self-sustaining, not profitable, but self-sustaining, and not a big draw off our finances. And I want us to be sensitive in regards to thinking of how do we achieve those things and create the best possible environment for people to spend money and spend time at that new pool. So I want the pool and I want that, but I don't know by putting all the dollars to say in one specific area if that's the best business decision to make when there could be other things available. I don't know. It's not about me. You know what, Mayor, Vice Mayor, you go ahead.
Is there a second on that motion to make sure that the dollars designated go towards the outcome of whatever this task order is?
That's the question.
Right now, it dies for lack of a second.
Okay, all right. So it can be spent on anything at the beach.
No.
No.
Not at the beach. The casino complex is the
your proposed amendment to the motion just died for lack of a second. The underlying motion still exists, which I think the Vice Mayor is about to comment on.
Right.
Okay.
The Vice Mayor's first motion is still there.
Okay, the Vice Mayor's first motion, which is just accepting the task order.
That's the first, what you said. Motion made by Commissioner Amoroso to approve the task order.
But it also includes.
Then you changed it.
Yeah, I didn't second just the task order motion. That when I said second, that was not what I was seconding.
Okay, let's try this again. My new motion.
Are you withdrawing your old motion?
Correct. Okay. My new motion is just to accept the task order. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Second.
Now conversation, may I?
No, first we've got to vote on the motion and the second. Oh,
No.
you're gonna, about that vote?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so after having conversation, there's people in this room that were here a long time ago that remember what we went through. I totally agree with staff that sometimes you forget. If you remember last time when we were trying to push the $10 million through, again, I agreed with the mayor because it may not be 8 million, it might not be 10 million. And again, what happened originally is they gave them a budget and said, keep in this budget. And that's what we got. We got a complex without a pool. So I trust that the consultants have listened tonight, and they're going to do the best job they can to include what everybody in this room wants, but to come in with a number that, you know, we can live with. But again, I have a problem putting a number on something that is not inclusive. I also want to stress that as we move forward, there's going to be some issues. You're going to build a new complex next to an old complex that was on shaky ground to start with. There may be some other issues. Again, I'm not the builder, but we saw what that building was supposed to be, and they took it down to, you know, a couple bricks on a piece of sand on a berm that is exactly, you know, there's no pilings, no. So I anticipate that there may be some other dollars that we're not including. So I'd like to hear about that, but, you know, I totally, you know, support a pool complex that includes a pool, but also that something's conducive to visitors, families, children, everything that we've talked about tonight. But my motion is, you know, to
Use of the penny sales tax for that.
at some point, yes, once we get some numbers. But tonight, we're moving forward with the consultant to come back. That's my motion, and we have a second.
I'm gonna move to amend that motion to put some dollar figure on it, because how do you ask someone to design something without giving them any kind of dollar figure? How many architects say, you know, get a client that says, hey, design me a house?
We have.
And hold on one second, I'm not done.
Well, I think I tell people when they're done, so.
Is that the way that this, okay. So how do you ask someone to design you something and you don't give them a ballpark figure for how much you want it to cost? If you say, hey, contractor, I want you to redo my bathroom, the first thing they're going to say is, what's your budget? If you say, hey, architect, I want you to design me a house, the first thing they're going to say is, hey, what's your budget? So here we are asking this guy, giving him $82,000 to design us a pool, and we haven't given him any pecuniary parameter for but the motion does not include that.
We don't need a motion to explain to him what the budget is, you know.
How can
in
he receive
reality.
official guidance from us if it hasn't been voted on? Who is it, when you say we've explained it to him, we haven't done anything unless it is we who vote on it.
Pardon me, we're not going back and forth, and I'm gonna tell you right now.
Okay, I didn't interrupt me.
I apologize.
It wasn't I who interrupted, you know, I was
Well, the point of the
talking.
matter is you don't have to dominate every conversation all the time nonstop.
Madam
please.
Mayor.
Sorry.
Okay, all I'm saying is, I think we should give the guy
we all
a
have
dollar
opinions.
figure. If you don't want to give him a dollar figure, that's fine.
I have a motion.
Commissioner Robinson.
I absolutely think that Commissioner Hardy is correct, but in order to move forward, as of now, and we have had conversations individually with staff and through to the consultant through staff, all of our expectation of a price. If they are mistaken, please say so now.
No,
No, really, I want you to understand that we have already expressed numbers to staff. All of us certainly have talked to staff about numbers.
Where?
In our individual meetings.
Where?
Well.
Now you both interrupted each other,
I'm-
so
In
you're
view
even.
of what public?
You're all even.
I'm just saying,
Let me finish, please.
This is a difficult decision. The the first decision that I would like to get is to commit the $82,000 to do the probable costs. And we can go from that. Then we can have this discussion on real costs after we hear from you. Have you any idea of what we expect this to limit this project to? The task force task order here.
Chris Zimmerman, CPZ Architects.
I'm sorry.
Based on the conversation I heard this evening.
And any additional conversation beforehand?
You mean the 5 budgets he put before us in a presentation the last time
We put
around?
a lot of budgets together, okay, in the 5 schemes we put before you months ago. Okay, looking at that and going back at some of those costs, we're going to refine that pool into a design that meets what we heard at the charrette, what we heard from all of you, into a design for a pool complex. What that's going to cost at the moment, I don't know, because we have not worked out enough detail to tell you. What I can tell you is this. I did go back and look at our phasing that we did. The numbers were conceptual, rough, based on conceptual sketches. Is an $8 million amount appropriate? It's somewhere in that range, okay? It looked like that from our preliminary numbers. But now that we're refining the design to what you want out of this, and we're going to come back in a schematic design phase to show you what that plan is, what 2 options are for that, and we will have a detailed cost estimate broken down by all the components in that design. Then we expect some conversation back and forth that will discuss what those costs are and what you want versus what we think, and have that back and forth dialogue.
You're familiar with the conversation about 6 million, 8 million, and the discussion about 10 million. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, you're aware of it. Okay.
Correct.
So we want you to go forward with your 80, and I'm asking that we call the vote on $82,000, which is, I understand, is a commitment. And I hope that we all understand that if we're going to spend $82,000, we're going to come up with a price and do a pool. But if you come in with some ridiculous $17 million for just a pool, I'm not in favor of paying you. Okay.
That's not where we're going with
Okay,
this
good.
at all.
Commissioner
Okay.
Robinson, I want, thank you. All right, thank you very much. First of all, You call the
Second.
question.
It's money.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now to continue for one quick second on
No,
something.
we have to vote.
We
have to
voted.
vote. No. We voted to call the question. We didn't vote on the actual
okay.
motion.
Well.
And
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. First of all, I want to do something. I want to apologize to you, Commissioner Hardy, for speaking out wrongfully.
It's
So if
okay.
you'll accept my invitation.
It's okay.
No, I want you to accept my apology.
I accept it, and I apologize if I dominated the conversation. What happens up here for me, absolutely, and all the time stays up here when I leave this dais. Absolutely nothing is taken home with me. So that's the way that I feel. That's frankly what frees me up to be really intense up here, is that I don't take it personally.
No, and I want you to know I didn't mean it personally,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
understand.
very frustrating because I'm trying to get you guys to obey rules and wait. You know, you're complaining about him interrupting you, and he's complaining about you interrupting him.
And I apologize.
And I'm going back and forth. So
We'll be
I'm-
friends.
I get frustrated because I'm trying to give you all the time and leisure that you need to do it, and it gets frustrating for me. So again, forgive me for that. The one thing that I want you all to look at here as a positive thing, and everyone at home too, is that we unanimously agree to spend bond money to get the pool open.
We have not agreed to do that.
We did all up here, individually speaking, agree to use bond money on the pool. Did we not? I'm sorry, not bond money, excuse me, penny sales tax money, excuse me.
Can we have a vote?
Was that not unanimous? Was that not across? We all agreed at different levels.
We're just waiting for.
We spoke in favor of it. We did not agree in favor of it.
We spoke in favor, all for different reasons, but we labeled dollar amounts was the part that I was uncomfortable with. I've said we're making each other adversaries when we're all on the same page. We're all looking to use penny sales tax money to fix the beach. Are we not? Do you? Let's call a vote.
Oh, well, let's make a motion before we call a vote.
No, let's not. No, let's take a
Consensus.
let's take a poll.
A consensus that we're using penny sales tax.
Penny sales tax.
Absolutely.
Penny
That would
sales
be me.
tax.
And I twice already.
That's it. Penny sales tax? Yes. Penny sales tax?
Yes.
Thank you. So that's that. But let's just do it in the business way in which it happens to draw the thing, get them to do is all come together, decide what we can do and use and whatever, and do it in a business manner. That's all I'm asking. Yes, we all agree. So let's go home with that on our minds.
Congratulations, Mayor.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Mayor. You know.
Thank you. Okay. The next item is the city attorney's report.
I have a very long report tonight. I think we'll be here another 35 minutes.
There you go. You're fired. City manager?
I actually have a few things if I could. We had an event with the Red Cross, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue.
Quiet, guys, as you
and,
exit. We're still meeting.
Code enforcement
Thank you.
staff who
Quiet, guys, as you exit. We're still meeting.
dealt with handing out flyers and educating and spending time with residents. There was 158 homes who received new smoke detectors as part of a program to try to educate people on safety and prevent fires. That was a nice outreach. A couple of our code officers, Don Doherty and William Hamrick, were involved in that, and I want to congratulate them. Jamie Brown is accepting, yes, with the American Public Works Association, which is a professional group of public engineers. He is now the state of Florida vice president, which is third. He's got one more step, I think, up for the actual presidency. Florida is the second largest APW organization in the country, if you didn't know that. We will be hyperchlorinating our water. We do this every year. It's part of a process that we do with the health department. From April 21st through May 8th, the city is going to be increasing hydrant flushing, and you'll smell maybe a little bit of chlorine in the water during that time, but it's something that we do to keep our lines safe and healthy for your drinking water, and just be aware of that. Effective April 16th, we are now, per city ordinance, going to be pushing out the beach parking decals, coincidentally. Yay. So as part of that conversation. So if you've gotten a decal in the past, you'll get a notice in the mail that you can send back in the mail, or you could go down and get them at the annex. And with that, Madam Mayor, that's all I wanted to announce.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Happy Easter. Happy Passover.
I said thank you for moving this forward.
I feel like I just passed the kidneys. No, it's not an issue, and I'm sorry about that.
I get
The size of a boulder.
Can we meet in your room, Mike, just for?